All right, people. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody? I know we got Booty in the chat. I'm seeing 5 others. Who do we have today? Quiet in the stream this morning. It's early, man. I get it. Yesterday, we went on to LA and spent all day in Los Angeles. And so I'm pretty smoked today, too. Looking for a lot of energy in the chat today. I definitely need it to be able to get through. So I'm seeing Rob saying good morning, throwing shakas and emojis. We got Clown Hammer in, like always. Thanks, guys, for being here. No, it's great. So we went down to LA yesterday and spent the day down there. There was a Orange County Japan Fair 2025. So we went down and did that. It turned out to be a pretty decent time. It's more like a food fest than anything else, with a lot of people hawking wares that are, Japanese and Asian type stuff. There was an anime people walking around doing a like a contest or whatnot, and that was a little interesting. I'm not into anime, and I had no idea who any of the characters were and all that kind of stuff. But you could tell that some people put a lot of time into their costumes and making that thing. So as a maker, I understood and appreciated what they were doing. But as not an anime guy, I had no interest in the competition part of it. But no, it was a good time. We ate some good food, and if I look a little more colorful today, it's because I got some sun. Got a little bit of sunburn, but it was pretty decent. So before we get started too much, Rob, see you got some sunburn too. All right. What'd you end up doing? So for us, we hit that fair and then drove clear across Southern California from basically Orange County up to Glendale. Went up there and had some sushi go round. So we used to live in Okinawa, Japan. And one of the things that we would do from time to time is take the kids out to the sushi conveyor belt sushi place. And they just like picking up the plates and sliding them down the chute and all that kind of thing. And so the more plates you put down, the more prizes you unlock. And so it's a little bit interactive, and they really enjoyed it. So we took them there for dinner and continued on with the Japanese culture type stuff. Oh, the same about anime. Got it. The chat's just a little bit slow this morning. So went down, did all that. They had a great time. I think we walked in the door last night about 10:30. So doing that and then getting up early in this morning, little bit slow on the uptake. So I appreciate any grace that I could get today. So things I've been doing throughout the week in prep for today, quite a lot actually. Reviewed the next steps that we're going to get through, which is basically the X-axis. If we can make time, we'll get to belting the machine as well. Things I did off stream were install the motor mounts, which include the X and the Y-axis hybrid setup. We need to build the gantry today and then install that. And if we can get through all of that, we could probably start to run some belts, I hope. I didn't get that far through the manual, but we do have all the parts printed. I have all the stuff behind me. And then because it was a weekend and we got to go to LA, we did some shopping. So I went to the Maker Store Candyland, aka Micro Center, and picked up all of this filament over here behind me. And then last week, also Saturday, I won on the Lee Marie stream. I won a spool of filament. And what I chose to get was some of this. So we picked up Zombie's Galaxy Red PLA, and it looks pretty nice. It doesn't have as much, like looking through the package, it doesn't have as much glitter as I think something like Ambrosia would, or maybe the glitter is smaller in size, but it looks really good. It's a very nice red, and it does have that glitter flake. So I'm gonna need to figure out what I want to print with this. And then also still testing out things on the H2D. Printed this vase mode in a translucent, what I'm calling honey colored PETG. So printed with 0.28 layer height, and the walls on this thing are 0.85. So very thick walls, and it's pretty solid. And my wife was a gardener planter. She has a lot of house plants and things like that. And so she'll probably end up using this for one of her plants. But that's a pretty solid print to be vase mode. This is made by Cowafat Company. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but I want to say it's Cowafat Company is how that is pronounced. But you can find this model on Maker World. They released it on X yesterday for free. And so from my phone, while we were driving down to LA, I was able to send that to the machine and then knock it out while we were on the road. So I wanted to definitely test that aspect of being able to slice in the cloud and then send something to the H2D. It works. So that's pretty good. Put that guy up there so I don't forget it. And show you what else we picked up at Micro Center. So because I won that filament, I didn't want to waste my time. So I got the, this is the Hedgehog Makes red. And then I picked up some pan chroma for the first time. I got a Starlight Twilight and a translucent magenta. And that is those there. That's what I ended up getting. So yeah, excited to try those out and print something with all that stuff. And then at the Micro Center, we got another stack here of things and stuff. I picked up 5 kilos of differing type things. We got some, what is it? High-speed ABS, some high-speed PLA. We got some fluorescent glow-in-the-dark rainbow type stuff, some PETG carbon fiber, and some ABS glass fiber. All just to kind of try out and see how that goes. I've printed with a lot of glass fiber filled ABS before, and I love this stuff. It comes out pretty matte, it's pretty strong, and you can get it in a variety of colors instead of just black. So it has some advantage over the carbon fiber stuff. But you guys aren't really here for that. That's just the warm up to warm up the vocal cords and get going, right? You guys are here for the X-axis on the RatRig, so we'll get into that guy. So going over to the Chrome tab, let's make sure that we're looking at the right thing. Here is the X-axis that we're going to get to. GF comes in good colors. Yeah, it does. I wish they had more, how to say it, like rainbow type things or more bright colors. I really like fluorescent and neon and things like that. And so if I could get, I don't know, some really bright colors in glass fiber, it'd be great. I think that 3DO, because I have some over there, I think 3DO makes a RatRig green in ASA glass fiber or ABS glass fiber, one of the two. But they do have some of that stuff. Good morning, Low Sync. Morning, Zombie. Hey, Zombie, I think you missed it, man. We have some special stuff on the desk today. We got some of your filament here, bro. We got some red Galaxy PLA. So we got to figure out something to print with that. But today we're going to work on the X-axis mostly. And I'm hoping that we can get through it and get to some belting type stuff. And if that's the case, then we'll be set. And some spool balls. Yeah. Oh yeah, you saw those on the desk. Yeah, we got some spool balls. I've actually had these for a little while. I saw your post on Twitter and I was like, damn, I think I got some of those. So I went and found them. They were kind of still packed away from the move. I haven't fully unpacked everything here in the garage. But these are just here because I was playing with them. I was kind of doing this hand exercise. Very mesmerizing on camera, by the way. But I was just doing this hand exercise this morning while I was setting up for stream. But yeah, these are a great idea as well. What Zombie's talking about is these are a 2-inch steel ball. And you can throw these inside a spool of filament and then it holds your spool in your AMS without jumping. Or if you have an AMS and you've ever had not a lot of filament on that spool, and then it just kind of gets stuck, it doesn't work, it doesn't pull. Why are you zooming? That's so strange. We're gonna turn that off pretty soon. But if you've ever had your spool get kind of jammed up and not really work, that's what he's talking about. Captain Kern, good morning. How are you guys? Thanks for being here. Working on our x-axis today. Better than batteries. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get through some of this stuff. So we have to prepare some joiner plates and whatnot. We should probably get down to business. GTSY. Ooh, I'm kind of familiar with that, but I don't remember what that means. So we have to find these plates, and we'll do some countersink screws and whatnot. Oh, good to see you. And you're much more of a podcaster than I am. Yeah, so this is the one thing that is a little weird about the RatRig, in my opinion, is that when we install plated things, they throw all the bolts through whatever plate, and then you build your bearing stacks on top of that with spacers and everything else. And then you kind of create sandwiches, excuse me, and then once you lock out the bottom with your top plate, you have to kind of almost turn it upside down to install it. And that whole turning upside down thing with bearing stacks and spacers and shims and all this other stuff gets a little fiddly. I learned that lesson installing the XY, sorry, not the XY, the motor mounts. And I'll show you what that looks like really quick. Watching you on your Amiga working on your Amiga that's cool, man. But yeah, you can see on these motor mounts over here that so basically you build them upside down, and then you have to turn this whole assembly over to install it. Printing boron parts, nice. Crossing the streams there, Clownhammer. But yeah, so you build this thing, you turn it upside down, everything was falling apart. I don't know how many F words I said, but I'm glad we weren't streaming when I installed that stuff. So I felt a little bad that I was getting ahead of you all and we weren't sharing that. But at the same time, it was, I had to really get in the printer, and I think I would have blocked the view of that anyway. But I will kind of take you guys over and show you what we did. And so on this one here, you install the bottom first. That one was pretty simple. And then you have this kind of mid piece. But again, you build it upside down, have to turn it over, install it on the printer. And that gets very, I don't know, fall aparty. I'll say it that way. Things started to come off and not really stay where they were supposed to be. So I ended up taping them in place just to keep the bolts from falling out. And then I had to get the top plate on and screw that in from underneath. And then you build the top, the very, very top, and turn that over and put that in place. And that one was really challenging. I didn't. Last stream, we never even got to installing these. We built a frame and we built a Z-axis basically last week. I could not find the hardware for those bed arms. Yeah, these bed arms over here. I couldn't find those M4 bolts. Messing with your printers till they don't work. I do that so bad. Printing parts are nice because you can kind of sandwich together nicely and hold. Yeah, I like the way that Voron does it, where they take the upper and lower motor mounts, you build everything, and then you just kind of slide it together so things don't fall apart all over the place. Both printers Z offset won't stick. It varies by, wow, that's a lot. Any slop. You're talking to me, Zombu 2. If you are talking to me, there is no slop in those motor mounts. They're all CNC machine and very nice, and they look great, and they're pretty rigid. So there's really no slop at all. Oh, for Captain? Yeah, are we helping Captain fix his printer today? What's going on with your machine, Captain Kern? Ender 3 hell? I think that's the problem, Ender 3. I'm gonna find these plates. I know that we have a stack of them here. And so we'll go over to the desktop. We have a stack of plates here. This bitch is just figuring it out. Yeah, sometimes it's okay to vent. Yeah, and these are extra motor mount like top plates and bottom plates that I'm not going to use because we did have that MRW stuff. So these are going to be unused. I don't know what to do with these. We'll put them over here. All right, but we do need these plates here. These are kind of your XY joiners. So this attaches the gantry to, let's move this a bunch. Yeah, so these are kind of your XY joiner. It is top rail mounted, so these go on top of the Y-axis rails like so, and then your gantry will hang down underneath off of this side here. And I'm really excited to play with that lightweight gantry. I have honestly been thinking about going back and forth on whether or not I want to do the stock X-axis with the 2020 extrusion because of rigidity and things like that, especially since we're doing IDEX. I had considered doing that. And then the other consideration is the lightweight stuff being too lightweight that we really suck on the input shaper. What do I think? I'm watching you and need a relief from Ender. Well, thanks for choosing me, man. I appreciate you. It's nice to have 12 people here and someone enjoying a little bit of what we're doing here. So it's always cool to see the regulars come back and have a chat. So thanks, guys. The manual has us do. Yeah, no worries, Zombie. Appreciate you lurking, man. It drives up the algorithm. I know you know how that works, so thank you so much. We need those things. I have plates. I need hardware, so M5 by 60 countersunk, and some low profile screws. All right, so let's see. We got M5 by 60s. That would be these guys here. It's pretty nasty in the bag, though. So they are probably very oily. I may end up cleaning those. I don't want to get gunk all over everything. And then we need some spacers, so some low profile screws, 30/30s. All right. And then some 5 8 by 14 spacers. So there's your low profile screws. And then you said some sort of spacer. Where is that? 5 by 8 by 14. Okay, so that should be everything we need there. Next up is putting these screws through the plate, and then a low profile through the middle, and we'll end up with 5, sort of like that, and flip it upside down. Okay, we can definitely do that. Let's see. I need to clean these. That's what I want to do. Let's see. Where did I do with my paper towels? Right there. So Captain Kern, I'm curious, man. What's going on with your Ender 3 other than it's an Ender 3 and it always sucks no matter what you do? You just having trouble rebuilding it or what? Oh, putting clipper on it, I think. Yeah, so if we do 2 of these, we need 4 each. So I'm just gonna, I guess, use all of those. That bag is pretty nasty. And so I think the way that I'm gonna clean this is just kind of spray them down with IPA to take a lot of that off of there. And then we'll just wipe them down. I am conscious that they're steel and they may end up like needing some sort of oil to not rust, but we'll deal with that if it happens. Maybe we just coat them with a light oil or something like that so it's not so gross. Look at that towel already. Oh, your Z offsets. Yeah, I don't know that it's ever going to really change because of the way that machine is made. Everybody loves their Ender 3. Well, I won't say everybody. A lot of people love their Ender 3, often because it's their first. And so there's a little bit of nostalgia that happens with that. But I don't know. I'm not super nostalgic for things and stuff. It's more like, does it work for me? How much headache does it cause? Do I really want to spend, half a day trying to get my Ender 3 to level? Or is it worth my time to just build something that is not as finicky as an Ender 3? I don't know. Whatever you're into and whatever drives your boat. If you got the time and the patience to do something like that, then maybe do that. Let's see. No, you go for the real explosives to make sure it didn't come back. Wondering how much tannerite it takes to launch an Ender 3 into space. If you find out, you should let us know. I'll tune in for that one. I get to, based on what I do for work, I get to see a lot of explosions anyway. So it's always a good time. Really brightens up a Monday morning. Okay, so that looks like the picture that we were supposed to have. I'll just go ahead and do this other one as well, get ahead a little bit. I like doing all of the same step while it's still fresh in the brain. Instead of doing one, building it completely, and then going back and doing the second, I'd rather just do it all at the same time. I think I'll leave these wrapped for now. Let's see, can I add some other stuff? You've launched everything from an air fryer to a washing machine, so Ender might be fun. I'm trying to think of who that was. 3D print professor, I think, threw his down a canyon. Okay, so we have the spacers go on next, and then we put a printed part on there, and then we make a sandwich with the middle plate. So I'll open up these mid plates. We have the mid plates here. I am happy that they wrapped everything. So it's the most annoying thing. I don't know if you guys order a lot of plate stuff from AliExpress or any of the equivalent sites, but oftentimes when they send you CNC parts or laser cut plates like these are very lightweight, by the way. They just throw them in a bag and they, through the shipping process, bounce around, clank against each other, so they end up scuffed and dented and dinged all over, and so the finish on them are normally not as nice. I love that RatRig puts those together that way so that you don't have to worry necessarily about all of the stuff getting banged around. What I did and what I thought that would be a little easier on me to find parts is I just dumped the whole box of parts on the table behind me. And so far so good, I guess. I'm able to get what I need, except for I've got half of them on the table. The other half are in the box here. So I believe we need that part. It doesn't look like the picture though. So here we go. I did print them in black. I was looking for green parts, but we actually need these. The difference being that the holes are bigger so that they slide over top of the spacers that we are going to put on here in a second. Yeah, there it is. Found it. All right, that's the other one we need. I should put at least some separating paper instead of metal on metal. I agree with you. They definitely should. But you know how that is. Like, there are things you should do and there are things that you actually do. They don't always match. All right, so we're putting a spacer on each of these. I was thinking about putting all this stuff together when I was doing the motor mounts. I was like, man, they actually use a lot of different spacers. I feel like some of the BOM could be streamlined for sure. There's a lot of different hardware and a lot of different spacer sizes and things like that. And then when you're upgrading, you are collecting extra parts and whatnot too. So there's probably going to be a lot of spare stuff on this build, I think. That should go like that, and it does. Same for that one. So now we have two that match. At least the holes look like the right place. Yeah. Yeah, these were printed kind of, like I said, the black stuff was printed on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. The green stuff is printed. This stuff is printed on the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon. And then I haven't printed any of the RatRig parts on the H2D because I didn't get that until after I had printed everything. So we built that, and then we do a plate on top. So we'll do the plate on top like so. I wonder kind of the reason for the plates. I mean, theoretically, we could have made the printed part a little bit thicker. So I'm curious the thought process behind that one. Not complaining, just saying. Okay, and so next we have the XY spacers, and there are two of those. I believe those are printed. I'm not sure exactly. And then ball bearings. So this is what they do. They do a bearing stack with two flanged bearings and then one non-flanged bearing in between, and that gives you the 9mm spacing that you're looking for to run the thick belts. And then we have these shims, and again, more spacers of a different length this time. These are 27. So that's what I meant. Like, so there are 30s, there are 27s, there are 14s, and then earlier we had some 4s. And it's a lot faster with less wasted metal to make it as two separate parts. Yeah, it's fine with me. I don't care that it's metal. I actually like that it's metal. It kind of sandwiches things together, makes it more rigid. I don't know. Like, my big brain says that I could make it from plastic if you wanted to save a little cost. Because even though those may not cost you very much, they cost something. Okay, so all of these bearing stacks are made very similar to how a lot of other printers make them. You end up with a shim or a washer, if you want to call it that, and then a couple of bearings. Ooh, cool. The H2D just finished printing. So I'm printing more of that honey-colored PETG that we showed off at the beginning of stream. And this time, I'll grab this for you. This time we printed a front cover for the machine, come on, it sticks really good. Yeah, so we printed this front cover for the machine. And it's printed in that honey gold color. This seriously kind of matches the, what am I trying to say? Words don't work today. The silicone socks on the hot ends have like caution hot written on them, and they're written in a color that's very similar to this. But the walls came out great on that. This is all PETG from Inland, I believe. So the Micro Center brand. And my intent is to put a sticker on the front of this. So, and then we'll do a little magnet here, and that should allow that to attach magnetically to the front of the tool head. So that'll be good. Cool. I feel like this camera's a little bit off. Let me move that. I apologize. Oh, you're not gonna play nice today. Okay, well, I guess we're locked in. Either way, what are we doing next here? Did it come with a kitchen sink and an auto hand washer? No, it didn't, but it came with one of those foot massagers and one of those back massagers that look like a magic wand. And I think that's needed because it is heavy as hell to move it around. You probably hurt the back a little bit. So we did that. Okay, we're doing more spacers on top here. So we have the, they're not for your back? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean they're not for my back? We ended up picking up extra washers. I needed them for something else. But it did come with these other like M6 washers that are roughly the same. I forget why I picked up these M5s, but I needed them for some portion of the build that I was doing. And the shims they want me to use are these precision ones here, these 8x5 small shims. We have 4 left after doing everything. There's not a lot of extra hardware with this kit. It's something that I noticed. Maybe that's because I'm used to doing LDO builds where they give you, I think, 10% extra hardware in each kit. I've been getting through a lot of this bill of materials, and I've noticed there's not a lot of extra hardware at all. There are no additional spacers. And I dropped on the floor several times those motor mounts when I was trying to install them. You keep it PG-13. Wait until I go to lift the RatRig. Digital Dragon, I've been dreading that moment. Moving this thing around for the last couple of days during the build has been challenging altogether. There's always extra Lego pieces. Yeah, and also I could just print spacers if I really needed to. These are just nice because they are aluminum, so there's no deformation. They're going to be accurate each time, so it's a little better. But I am dreading moving any of these printers around because my shoulder's been killing me the last couple of days. So that is back. Hoping to get checked out pretty soon, but we'll see. Thanks for being here, Lego Therapy. It's always nice to have you in the chat. We're building XY joiners this morning. These attach the crossbar gantry with the print head on it, or the tool head on it. It attaches it to the Y axis that goes this way, so things can slide back and forth and you can print. So that's what we're building. We'll get that on the machine and then see if we can run some belts as well. Okay, so next it has us doing, so we did that one. We're on this one here where we install these random spacer sizes. So we got to make sure we get these right. Hey, Armor 3D Printing. Good morning. Smash the like button, as Lego Therapy says. Always the biggest cheerleader in the chat. Thank you, sir. So these are the 27s. I only have 4 of them, and we're going to use all of them here. So bearing stack on these what I'm calling the open end of the stack. So we have bearings over here. We have this open end of the stack, and then we do big bearing on the, big spacer on the outside there and on the inside here. So I'll do that for both. That is end of those spacers. And then we have smaller ones that are 14s. So these here that we used earlier, we have exactly 4 of these left. So that exhausts that supply. And this goes on top of the bearing and then on that free long bolt, on top of the bearing, on top of the free long bolt, like so. And then you end up, and I would pick this up, but I know everything's gonna fall apart. That's what I was talking about. These all, yeah, that's gonna be difficult. We'll get back to that one later. And then that should be it. So we can move on to the next step, which has us prep the 2020 for installation. So we're going to slide a couple T-nuts in there. We'll put on some end caps. And then I believe everything should kind of sit on top, and then we secure that down with some more bearings and whatnot and some screws. Steel balls that are check your bed level. Correct. So the idea is if you have an Ender 3 and it sucks, like Captain Kern in the chat, you put this on there, and if it stays in the center, you're good. If it rolls off, you're not good. So level your bed until the ball stays in the middle. You should be good to go. So I'm going to pull down that lightweight x-axis. We're going to press forward with that. I do have the 2020. Oh, Captain Kern, I thought about this too. If your bed is tacoed, it's probably going to stay in the middle anyway. So you're going to be good no matter what you do. Let's see. What did I do with the lightweight X? We still do have this this 2020 that we could use. That's more rigid. It's also a little bit heavier. Not that we are chasing grams on this one, but we could use that. But I did pick up not the Toro tube, which is the titanium solid square tube. It's not solid, it's hollow. But it doesn't have a lot of cutouts and whatnot in it, just mounting holes for the linear rail. The one that I'm showing you now is from Schleiftech. I got this at Fabrico. And this one's a lot more lightweight, a lot more cutouts. If you're looking for a place to get it, there's a QR code on here, and that'll take you over to the site where you can see it. So the span system from Austria. And so these are very lightweight, much lighter than the 2020, but feels just as rigid. One thing I had to do, the numbers you're seeing written on here, one thing I had to do is there's a tool that they have you print out. I got it right here. There's a tool they have you print out, and there are different dots on here, and the dots indicate what size you should print for your XY joiners. So what you do is you come on the end of this and you slide this tool on until it gives you the fit that you're looking for. So if you want something very loose, which is not correct, you can see that, and you just go down the list until what you get is pretty snug without being too tight to go on, like that one there. So that goes on there pretty snugly. If your printer is off, you want it so that I can't even get it through that. So that means my printer is, the tolerances are only so good. So what I ended up doing was printing this one here, the second one over, that is snug to get on there, but it fits and secures. And that'll tell you which ones to print. So that's what we're going to go with in place of the 2020, simply because I have it on hand. And we'll save the 2020 for a backup. If we need it, we could throw it on there. If input shaper graphs are actually that terrible, we can do that. Hey JPP. I'm having issue here with, sorry, I'm just trying to fix something behind the stream real quick. There are settings where the chat's not showing correctly, and I don't like it. So I'm trying to keep up with you all, but this screen that I monitor it on is just not showing it right. And so I don't like that. So if you see things like flashing and whatever, that's why. You don't see him wielding a hammer, so not seeing any fixing going on. Hey JPP, happy Sunday. Thanks for being here, bud. Okay, so we've got these built. I need to focus on getting the X, so we'll just move those over to the side with the rainbow Allen keys there. Let's clean up the desk just a little bit. I need some space to work here. Okay. Any brand name or anything on those red corner jigs? Let me pull one out for you. I'll show you exactly what I see. These are the red corner jigs that I have. They just tell me the sizing of what I'm doing, and there are holes. They are generic as generic can be. Are you having trouble finding them? Search something like woodworking 90-degree corner jig or something like that. They'll have another part of it, so each of those squares will come with 2 of these, and this is what goes in those holes so you can pull things together. Again, they're so generic that there is something that's probably pretty close. Don't worry about them being exact. If they look kind of like what I'm showing you, you're probably going to be okay. The metal parts don't look too bad, which is surprising. Might have found the only good seller on Ali. I don't know. I've bought a lot of CNC and aluminum type parts from Ali. I'm talking entire V0 kit, entire Trident kit, CNC parts. My thick framed V2 over there has Ali parts on it. My green V2 has Ali CNC parts on it. The RatRig for the Z axis at least have the Z. I don't even know what to call them. The top of the lead screw holder, I guess. Those are from Ali. So you get some good stuff. You just gotta keep in mind what you're doing. Let's get down to business though. I'm not going to be able to do any of those cap head screws and whatnot because we're not using the 2020 rail. So I'm going to sort of use it as a guide and not exactly the same. What I'm going to do instead is use these green parts that I printed with the dimensions that I was showing you on the rail. I'm sorry, I don't even know what the hell to call this thing. The gantry, the lightweight gantry. And instead of putting these things in there like so, we're going to use actual T-nuts instead inside of the printed parts. I guess I could just show you the printables page here. And then if I look for I know I put an E on the end of that. That's what I meant to do. That's how it's spelled on the part itself. X-beam, that works. Oh, now you're gonna not find this thing. Let's see, V-Core 4X rail. Maybe the internet's going crazy today. Never seen printables be so bad. Found the clamps. They are on Amazon, not Harbor Freight. Cool, man. I'm glad you found what you need. Maybe it's at Fabrico, and then we can find stuff in here. There's your kit if you want to upgrade from hybrid to IDEX. It's $450. Let's see here. That's the 3.1 version. Man, where did I get this rail? Internet is crazy every day. You watch any Florida Man videos? I see Florida Man videos in my feed and stuff all the time. Like, all the time. Don't need to watch the videos, just go outside. Zombu, are you in... there we go. Are you in Florida as well? All right, so this is the lightweight gantry here. If you want one, it is $70 for the 300. They are out of stock. And then this is the link I was looking for. I feel for you, Zombu. I couldn't live in Florida for a lot of reasons. You don't need to. You am a Florida man. All right. So yeah, this is the spacer here. It's meant for the Toro tube, but the dimensions on the end of this thing are the same. It's just a different material. I believe this one is aluminum versus titanium. So different material, different cost. More affordable for this one versus the Toro tube, which is, you know, I think $100 and some odd. But you'll notice that the part they have comes in a hell of a lot of different sizes. And that's why we needed that tool to determine which of these sizes, as we scroll through the list, which of these sizes you're actually going to need to print. So I did that off stream. I measured, I figured out which one I needed, and then it kind of goes through how to read the guide. It'll tell you which one you need, and then you should do insert the stock T-nuts into the channels on the part. They're inserted backwards on purpose. So that's the part we're going to do. Let's see. Then the tube assemble per the instructions. Avoid tipping the part over because they could slip out. Yeah, found that out. They have different variants here if you need some extra length or whatever. I don't know that I printed the extra length ones. I think I printed the exact one that I needed. So kind of that, I think. I did print the easy variant with the corners. Otherwise, the these corners here will be rounded. They'll be rounded like the top part, and it's more difficult to print. It prints pretty ugly right there if your cooling and speeds are not dialed in. I didn't even want to screw around with that. I just printed this with the square tip. So according to this, we need to just put some T-nuts in here and see how that goes. I did notice though that the T-nuts they gave me, are not these. They're not that kind, like that. These slide-in versions, they are the twist version, the post-drop type nut. Florida. Yeah, and Zombu and Lego Therapy, you guys should link up and do crazy Florida man shit. And then let me know when you do it so I can watch. Oh, here we go. I lied. I do. Well, those are M5s. I need the M4 version of that, I think. Am I thinking of that incorrectly? Well, there are M5 hardware in the joiner. These are M5s, so I think that's correct because I don't see any other versions. Sorry, just trying to throw things away and clean up the desk a little bit. Your record is clean. And never say that again. The guy is not to be named on the internet or anywhere else. I'm not sure. What guy? The key is not to get caught. You guys are talking about Florida man stuff. I have no idea. Okay, I just need to put these T-nuts in like so. So we'll do that. Oh, okay. Got it. What happened to that guy, by the way? I don't even know. Ooh, those are tight. That may be an issue. Oh, never mind. We can brute force it to where it needs to be. I'm gonna need a tool though. Allen keys to the rescue. Oh, those are tight. That's good because they won't move or turn. I don't have to worry about them falling out. All right, then we press it down until we get a clear pass through there, and I'll just use another Allen key to make sure that they're in the correct center of the circle there. We can actually grab them. And then, so there's one on the top, there's two on the bottom. That's also the same as the way that the stock manual does it when you're putting it into a 2020 rail. Haley Marie, good morning. We're making it, bro. We're building an X-axis, and we're doing it with custom parts here. So we do have the lightweight X-rail that we're using, and then we have the custom parts that we needed to print. We're just sliding in T-nuts here into a very, very tight printed part. Powered up the Mellow DP5 with no blue smoke. Congrats, Boothie. I know you were worried about that. You're a smart dude. I had no doubt you were going to be able to figure that out, even with sort of incomplete or poorly translated instructions. Oh, that's really tight. So I don't know how, if it's, so realistically, I don't know if these parts are supposed to be as tight as they are. I feel like that is probably a little more than necessary, although parts, yeah, that's what she said. Parts being snug are not a terrible idea. It's just trying to get it in there. It's a pain. I'm trying not to break anything or myself. And then, so we'll do this other one here. So we're just trying to slide these in, and they don't go in as easily as they should. So Lee Marie, what'd you guys end up doing yesterday, Jeremy? I asked you to take Kilo on a nice date. Did you take my advice? We ended up going to LA and spending literally all day down there. We left at about 9:45 in the morning. So watched a lot of the Polypalooza stream. And then I went to the gym and continued watching it there. Came home, showered, changed, left 9:45-ish. Got back home about 10:45-ish last night. So it was a full 12-hour day down in LA. We had a good time. Checked out a Japanese fest, ate some good food. We did a little bit of shopping, went to an actual mall. There's not a lot of those that exist anymore. And after that, got some sushi just to continue the Japanese theme, and then came home. Hit up a micro center. That was pretty fun. Man, we got 12 people in the chat this morning. Good morning, everybody. But who here won some stuff in the Polypalooza giveaway yesterday? I was hoping to have a good chance. I think I had almost 1,000 entries into the thing. I didn't win anything. I didn't get anything. It's probably because Petty won it all. Ah, that's what I was trying not to do. That hurt a lot. So that's what I'm talking about. If things are too hard to be installed, you end up slipping and hitting yourself in the hand with an Allen key. And that's not very fun. Aaron didn't win anything. If you had sushi in Florida, you'd be spending the morning in the John. That's like gas station sushi. Let's see. No, this was like a sushi go round. So not, you know, custom made, handmade, take the time kind of stuff. This is probably a lot of like, you know, pre-cut, pre-prepared. I won't say not fresh because I think it was, but it is a chain type place. It's called Kura, Kura. We had them in Okinawa, and we would take the girls quite often. And they have one down in LA, so we took them to that. My older daughter remembers it. My younger does not. She was too young at the time. Better than stepping on a tack on your daughter's floor. Cam Kern didn't win anything. I think that about Indiana, since we're not near water, but you never know what happens. As long as you heat it up well in the microwave, it should be fine. So just make sure that you microwave it for at least 5 minutes, and it'll kill whatever you have on it. All right, finally. Got everything installed here. 2 nuts on that side, 1 on that side, hole lined up. Nuke and puke? Why would you puke? Oh yeah, look at that. So when I missed and slipped and hit myself in the finger with that Allen key, I didn't cut myself, but it definitely put a blood blister there. The end of this went bam. That hurt pretty good. It's like slamming your finger in a door. We'll pay for that later. All right, so we did basically that, but as an all-in-one piece. Just want to make sure I'm good here. M5x8s is what they're asking us to use. Yeah, so they want us to use M5x8s here. So I'll find those, pull those out of wherever they're living. Those right there. And then we did this sort of, we put it in the part instead of the extrusion. And then it has us slide them over, slide that one over. So it looks like maybe the upside down and push the single underneath the printed part. We're gonna do it on both ends. So I'm considering which direction the T-nut should go because I want the rail facing a certain way once it's installed. By a small arbor press, I could definitely do that. I need an arbor press and probably a drill press. I don't have a lot of tools like that. Most of mine are hand tools. Okay, so that goes together, and then I know that this flange is on top of the rail, so I need to install the X rail upside down if I'm thinking about it correctly. That is the challenge of having things be different. So let's do that. All right, so this is the top of the rail. I can tell that because the holes to mount the linear guide are on top here, which means if I'm mounting this upside down, I need to go this way, and then that should be upside down based on the instructions. This goes on here. It also lines up with how the T-nuts are installed. There are 2 there. There are 2 holes in the end of this. And that's what I want to put on here. It's a little tighter than I expected. I hope I don't have to reprint this part. That feels very not the right size. Come on, dude. Let's go right today, please. Oh, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate you. It wasn't me. I didn't make it. I just chose it and installed it. All right, team. This is going to require more force. Hopefully we don't break ourselves today. This is not great. What I'm seeing is like the edges of this printed part here are wider than the internal diameter or perimeter of this square tube. You can see the filament that we're scraping off by trying to get that in there, and I'm not even pressing that hard. So there might be, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to remix it. Zims 3D hammer time. It might be, we may have to mute you guys and get the dead blow out, but you can see, or I hope you can see, it's just not the right size to go in there. I don't believe that's a me thing. It did have me measure the external diameter, the external perimeter of this tube. It said nothing about the internal, so that leads me to believe the internal block here on all the parts are the same size and only the outside is different. I wonder why they didn't take that into account. So I have two options. Number one, we get the hammer out and we allow this to shave itself as we put it in there. Or we do our best to file that down with a hand file and then slide it in that way. I'm more of a brute force guy, so I think I'm gonna break out the hammer. Now I'll probably have to mute you guys so we don't blow your eardrums out. It is made for the Toro tube, Aaron. Looks cool, goes with the colors. Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to do all the things to make one cohesive stream, so any feedback on that one is appreciated. I probably will go back and remix it, Zim, and then upload that as a make or a remix on printables, so folks don't have the same challenge I do. It is made for the Toro tube, like Aaron is saying. It may be thinner walled, you're correct. However, Fabrico is selling this span system tube on their site. They have a link that takes you to that exact Toro tube. So it brings you over to this page. And this page says Toro tube. My point being that if they're going to link to something, it should work correctly. And it kind of doesn't exactly fit right. So either I printed the incorrect part, which is completely possible, because there are 324 different versions of this. So maybe I printed this Toro titanium tube version and there's another different version without that. So I'm scrolling quickly to try to see if that is true. I think they're all Toro titanium tube though, from what I can see now. Yeah. So everything has that in there. So just going to suggest a little heat. It's not a terrible idea, JPP. I am concerned about warping the part or melting the part though. Warm up the aluminum and slide it on. I could try it. Get the Dremel out for the aluminum extrusion. Not really excited to do that thing. Trying to get some entertainment out of this hammer is a good idea. Not that much heat. Add a new tag to your channel. Just gotta whisper while I do it. I'll just whisper like this and hammer away. Well, you guys are killing me. I love it. All right. We will... I think I could hammer that in a lot easier than it would be to heat it. Yeah, we'll get the hammer out. If that becomes too much, I will get the heat out and massage it that way. Maybe we file it a little bit. Creepy, never again. Stop, hammer time. Yeah, we'll get the hammer out. I am going to mute you though, because I feel like my audio is already loud when I speak, and I don't want to hurt anybody's ears. So I'm going to mute you right now. All right, I was just hammering the hell out of that thing. It is not going. We are probably going to have to use some heat. You know, it'd be easier with a bigger hammer. Yes, it would be easier with a bigger hammer. I have a different mallet. I'll be right back. It's a little bigger. I think my problem is that I don't want to bend the tube, break the tube. It is pretty thin-walled and things like that. Also don't want to break the part. And if I break the part, then I'm really effed in the A, because we basically can't move forward with the next steps until we print new parts. Harder, faster. If you need help remixing, find you on the RatRig Discord. Yeah, Zims, I may end up doing that. These parts are not correct. So we got a bigger hammer. That's the new one. That's the old one. 20-pound sledge. Yeah, we could do that. This is rubber though. I'd rather use a rubber mallet to not damage the finish on the rail itself. 50-pounder is more like it. Yeah. So we'll try this one more time. I'm gonna mute you guys again. Not happening. Did I measure and compare to the inside perm? I did not. I assumed, and I did not test. That's a fail on me. I did not test before streaming whether or not it fitted. My balls are rolling. That's because my table's unlevel. Like I said, if they don't roll around, they stay in the center, your table's level. Not my balls. Okay, so we'll try the other option here. We'll get some heat out and see if we can heat up the part just a bit. Get the butane burner. I actually don't have one that's big enough for that. I've got a smaller one that I use for heat shrink. This one here. I got it at a cigar shop. So it's pretty shiny, rose gold colored, but it's for lighting cigars. So if you go to pretty much any smoke shop, they should have something like this. It's refillable and it's a torch. Crack lighter, sure, whatever you want to call it. I mean, being from Florida, you would know, yeah. But I also have this tiny heat gun. That's a little more controllable. Kind of a hobby heat gun. The only problem with this one is the cord is pretty short. It's only, I think, maybe 2 feet long. I have an outlet down here on the toolbox to my left, but hopefully this is not too loud for you all. It's a fire hazard. What do you mean? Fire hazard? Dang, dude. Yeah, I think too, it's like, it's just not working out. Oh, I see why. Check that out. So it's not even in the place it's supposed to be. It caught the top lip of that thing there, that's holding in the T-nut, and it tried to press through the T-nut instead of like being in the bottom groove. That's unfortunate. Let's see if we can fix that really quick. Probably get the cutters out, flush cutters out, snip that away. It's got no safety cutoff. Well, I don't leave it plugged in. What do you mean? And there's a switch right here. There's a switch right here that turns it on and off. It just keeps heating even if the fan fails. I don't know. Hey 3D Wolf, thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate you being here and asking questions. We're finishing up the x-axis here and just running into some part fitment issues. The parts that I printed are too large, it seems like. This internal square needs to go inside of this tube, and it doesn't. Toro tube is 1 mil wall thickness as per owner. Appreciate it. I don't know what the thickness of this is. Let's see if we can measure. Doesn't look much more than 1. Looks to be probably, just using the eyeball here, probably about 2 millimeters thick. So it's definitely thicker. That's annoying. It's just annoying because I don't want to reprint parts. That is just silly. Yeah, I think it's not that it's too wide in this direction. It's that it's too wide in this direction. So, too tall here between the T-nuts. You took your heater apart and rewired it with bigger silicone wires. Heat the aluminum with the burner, then press it on. It should melt nicely. That is an option. That is an option. I'm just trying to figure out why here. Because even if that's in the correct spot, I can look down the edge of this and I can see that it's just bigger. I'll try to help you guys see that. It's just taller than what it needs to be. So even if I were to melt it on, it would contact that T-nut there, and that T-nut would prevent it from sliding on because that's metal to metal and I'm not going to melt that. What did I print these on? Throw the reprints on the CC or the H2D. I printed them on the X1 carbon. It's not a printer dimension thing. It is a printed part dimension thing. These T-nuts are spaced too far apart for this particular tube. I can see that from the way that this works. So if I press that through there, there's still that gap. Let's see if I can get even closer. There's still that gap, right? So if I look down the edge of that tube, you can see that it will run into the T-nut before it melts any plastic. What did I, yeah, it's just not going to work out. So I think what we'll do instead, and this is going to be sort of painful because I had to jam those T-nuts in there. I'm going to have to pull those out. We're going to have to swap over to the 2020, which is probably the better option from the input shaper standpoint of things. And then we'll save this tube for a different time. Maybe it's a, we'll upgrade or change it. Yeah, the dimensions just aren't right, Rob. Exactly. And we'll just save this tube for another time. Or if anyone in the chat wants a tube, let me know. But until I remix those parts, it's not going to work out. Come on, you. So it fits into this square, and it just doesn't want to go in here. There we go, like that. And then I can put the other top part on here. You would never say no. All right. So just be advised, like if you end up getting one of these things and you follow the link and you print the parts, it doesn't seem to matter which part you print. It's not really going to work for you. I'm gonna have to do more research on that one. In the meantime, we'll pull these T-nuts out of here, and we will flex over to using the 2020. But these are real challenges. This is what builders are going to run into. I may have to cut this apart. I can't use it anyway. I can't get those T-nuts out with the way that we had to press them in there. Can't see a... There we go. We'll do it that way. We'll do it that way. That other one is down in there, though. I don't know how I'm going to get to that. We'll come back to it. Let's pull these other ones out. The key to air power, being flexible. All right, so we can get 4 of the 6 out of there. I'm gonna have to break this apart to get the other 1 out of each part. Simply because we had to pound it in there. So I'm gonna try to cut these parts. It never fails. We always have problems on this stream. If it's not parts, it's audio. It's always something. Fun hopping by. I can't stay with y'all. Mash, just keep knocking. Yeah, do the homework, dude. Get it done. It's better to be out of school than to hang out on the internet with strangers. Even though we are sort of family, I think we all kind of join the same streams and support each other, which is the cool thing about doing this stuff each week, is I get to see the same names all week long, almost across the spectrum of different streamers. You tend to see the same names. Well, I'll tell you what, we definitely printed these parts well. They do not want to break apart very nicely. So I'm just going to destroy these because I know that I have the 2020 parts printed. We covered that on stream number 1. Just in case anything went incorrectly, we would be prepared to flex. All right, so there's that. Still can't access what I need to access. Such a pain. All right, come on. I don't know how else to cut this to be able to get to it. Hammer time. Everything can be solved with a hammer. Everything can be solved with a hammer. Yeah, I wish it was hammer time. Like, it really is. I need to cut away the entire center thing to get at that T-nut to be able to pull it out of there. Just go 2020. Yeah. Hey, there we go. And then I still need to get in here and pull this out. Yeah, we're going 2020. I just need to get my T-nuts back because I got no extras in the kit. And if I don't reuse the parts that we have, then we'll never get done. Got it. I just had to destroy the entire thing to get to it. That's okay, they'll go in the recycle. And we get to do it once more. But now that we found a system, I think the solution is to cut these wings off on either side and then just kind of break it from there. See those cutters end up in his fingers? No. No. On the back side, I'm holding it here, so it'll be fine. I'm not worried about breaking my fingers with the cutters. Although I have stabbed myself in the palm several times trying to do that thing. See you, 3D Wolf. No, I'll be fine. I'm not gonna stab myself in the fingers. And I hope I can just like break this apart here. Not yet. Yeah, so I'm not like stabbing the part. I'm jamming it in the gap and then just cutting and pulling away, just to create a stress line that I can break the part apart. Duct tape and zip ties. F-117 had duct tape and special spray paint all over. You're not wrong. So Rob, you had a chance to work on that thing in some fashion. I got to refuel one the other day. You know you can't duck it if... Oh, okay. Almost there. We can almost break that apart. Trying to pry this a little bit. There we go. So broke it just like the last one, and we should be able to pull that out now. Oh, you got to sit in one in 91. Yeah, I got to see one up close a couple months ago. December, I think. They are definitely interesting airplanes. Oop, that went flying. Yeah, there's a couple of new ones now that are, you know, being shown off on the TV and the internet. Also cool airplanes. See how they work out if we ever need to use them, though. Not fighters, they hold 2 bombs. Yeah, they're kind of fighters, but not fighters in the traditional sense that they, you know, dogfight or anything like that. But realistically, we don't dogfight anymore. If you're dogfighting, that's a bad day. The other 17 things you tried went wrong. Hey, printed vision to 3D, sorry. Looked like a 2 from this angle. Welcome in. I think this is your first time here. I don't remember seeing your name before. If that is true, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from and what brings you here today. How'd you find the stream? While you're hopefully typing that out, I'll kind of explain what we're doing. We printed parts that did not fit. So we are currently breaking them apart so that we can sort of recover the T-nuts that we need to be able to do this a different way. No defensive weaponry. Correct. They did not have a gun or anything like that. You're correct. Let's see. We'll put this on the floor for cleanup later. I use paintbrushes for this kind of thing. They get down in small places. It would be very awkward to try to put a broom up here. So we just use little hand brooms to get that off of there. Like so. All right. Flexing over to using 2020 and following the actual RatRig guide instead of trying to be smarter than the people who designed the thing. You both have Zerabos. Yes, I do have a Zerabo. I think I remember who you are now. Okay. Yeah, I do have a Zerabo. I haven't used it. It's been out of commission for a while. Probably like I built it and then thought I was going to be smart and update it to different things and stuff. And what did I do to it? I took the hot end apart and I didn't put it back together. That's what happened. So it's over there. It's literally never printed anything. And you were in the Air Force. What did you do in the Air Force? I am currently a boom operator. I've been doing that. So in-flight refueling, I've been doing that one for, oh man, 8, almost 9 years now. But I've done other jobs as well. Command post controller, love you. Talk to you guys all the time, every flight. Thanks for being the comm node that we need. Are you still doing that, or you're done? You said you were in the Air Force. So are you out now? All right. We're doing, let's see, 2 T-nuts up top, 1 in the bottom. One and 2, and then 1 over here. Okay. And I'm gonna do 1 at a time, 1 end at a time. I'm gonna find those other parts really fast. Right here. So we got the 2 parts printed already because while I don't always do things correctly, I do try to think ahead and be prepared for a different option, plan B. And so we did print these parts. So after you put the T-nuts in, we just take the part and the side with the 2 T-nuts stays up. that goes, and actually it has us put them in more and then slide them into the part with a tool. And these actually fit like they're supposed to fit. They're snug, but you can tell that they want to go home, just like so. This was probably the better call. I owe you a ride on an F-15E. I don't fly those. I have no pull in that airspace. That would be completely you, man. I don't do fighter stuff. I've never had a ride in an F-15E. Ended up as an ISP. Digital Dragon, we talked about your previous life as a cybersecurity specialist. In today's Air Force, you'd actually be Space Force and probably a warrant officer. So there's that. Pernavision's been out since 2005. Dude, that was like my 3rd year in the Air Force. I'm at almost 23 at this point. Cool, so we slid those over, that goes underneath, cool, and then we do the other side as well. Digital Dragon, were you here for the shenanigans a minute ago when we tried to outsmart RatRig and use different parts, the lightweight gantry, and the parts didn't fit, and so we had to cut it apart to be able to get these T-nuts back? That was not fun. So I have to find a solution if I want to use that, but in the meantime, we're just going to use this X rail that it came with. It's probably the better call for an IDEX build anyway. So realistically, knowing who I am and how I operate, I will probably never install that lightweight rail onto the machine unless I end up building a second 300. But also knowing myself, that'll never happen either, because I generally don't make multiples of the same machine. I like difference. So almost all of my machines are different. The only thing I have a double of is a V2, and those aren't even, one is not stock at all. It's a custom mod by Boothy Builds, who I think is still in the chat. And then the other one is a LDO kit, but I don't have 2 of the same machine at all. Hey, MakerMind Nexus. Welcome in, Dan. You remember the days when we used to have shine our boots? Yes. I'm glad that's over, though. I hated that. Absolutely hated that. Sounds like no fun. Yeah, it wasn't fun, Dan. We were struggling here a minute ago. This is much nicer. I probably should have did this from the start. Captain Kern says he never got to serve. Of course, they waited until you retired to bring back the warrant officers. MC, I'm thinking the same thing. And then it's also not for everybody. It's only Space Force, and it's only for like 3 career fields. And I still make the argument flying enlisted should be warrant officers, period. The responsibility and the amount of workload that you have in addition to all the other stuff that you have to do when you're not flying, I think that qualifies for warrant officer, but they will not do that. Let's see. Pernavision started off structural maintenance, corrosion control, worked on F-16s, then cross-trained in the command post. Dope. How long did you serve? I know you said you got out in 2005. When did you begin? Let's see. What? I got your thing up, just forgot to tell anyone. No, there's a lot of people streaming all over the place, and you should do your best to support as many as you can. Support your favorites and participate. It definitely helps them out. Be stationed at TCC during 9/11. Wasn't fun. All right, so you're a little bit older than I am. I was still in high school. I was in my senior year, so you served 10 years. I was in my senior year when that happened. I remember watching it in English class. We were learning about the Canterbury Tales, and I remember being not interested whatsoever. And then some commotion in the hall. Teacher goes out, comes back. We turned the television on, and we watched 9/11 until they let school out early that day. We watched it on TV, but I definitely remember that. Sub Hunter in the Navy in the mid 80s. That's cool. So it sounds like we have a lot of veterans in the chat this morning. That's really cool. Okay, so going back to Chrome, we have the, I don't know, XY joiner part, and then this should just slide over all of that. We will install that M5 bolt on the back side here after things get in place. I think right now just the spacer is trying to fit into the part is the challenge. I am thinking that I may, never mind. I was thinking about pulling the spacers off, putting them in the part first, and then sliding that over the bolt heads, but it seems like we were able to get it eventually. I'm trying to grab this bottom bolt as I pick everything up, like that. So I'm just like holding the sandwich together. This center M5 here, this center M5 needs to get tightened down a little to kind of hold everything together. And I just lost a spacer. That's what I don't like about this sandwich method. And then if I go the other way, I lose all the bolts. So that one goes back inside of there. Okay. But now that that's together, it should stay pretty well. Work on the other side here. You saw it on TV and thought, what a shit movie. Yeah, it was not a good movie for a lot of people that day, man. All right, that one went on a little easier. Digital Dragon was heading into work at Davis Monthan when it happened. And I'm sure as a cyber security guy, you were pretty busy that day. All right, so just tighten that a touch to hold things in place. The rest of this should sandwich together as we get further along into the gantry. All right, so like so. All right, so after we get those together, we need to do another bearing stack here. And we'll do that on both ends. So from this one, it looks like this post. Is there supposed to be a spacer there? I'm not seeing one. So I thought maybe there was supposed to be a spacer under this because I saw at the bottom you have this little bit of the standoff sticking out. Dude Flunky, welcome, dude. Thanks for being here. Make sure we like and subscribe. We got 12 people in the chat today. Talk with each other, interact. Makes our Sundays a little bit better when we get to fellowship and talk with each other. We're talking about where we were, what is it now, 24 years ago. Almost 24 years ago. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, so we have a little bit of that standoff standing out there. Do and Luke, welcome. 23 people in the chat. Man, I'm only seeing 12. That's awesome. I don't know what my numbers are here. Let's see. Let's refresh. Yep, still seeing the 12. That's fine. So we have the standoff that's sticking out of the top of the printed part, like so. I realize it's the opposite side. It's too long to get into frame completely. Well, I guess we can move some stuff. Let's do it this way. I'm just trying not to drop the bolts out of the bottom of this thing as we slide this across. There we go, like that. All right, so there is the gantry. On this end and this end, we need to put some hardware. Do Flunky, thanks for the sub, man. All right, so we do flange bearing and then normal bearing. Let's move this box, it's gonna fall. All right, And then we'll do flange bearing on top. That completes the bearing stack. Last piece is our small shim. Cool. And then we'll do the same on the opposite corner here. Flange bearing, no flange. We are short one flange. All right, and then flange bearing like so. Last of our precision shims on top. That finishes out that bag. Throw that away. Captain Kern. Let's see. First tower hit. I was outside listening to the radio, drinking coffee. Second tower. I had taken my wife to a dentist appointment. You remember everything about that day. Same. I remember the name of the teacher. I remember the name of the student that went to the bathroom and came back and was talking about it. I remember what we were studying in class that day. It was a day that changed the world, and I think that's true of a lot of people. It changed everything. So if we have any young folks in the chat, I hope that you don't have a life-altering day like that. But if there's any way to relate to it, there will be something in your life that happens that will change the way you perceive the world. I just hope that it's nothing tragic like what some of the folks in the chat are talking about. Germany. You think U.S. response should have been more harsh? Okay. I mean, 20 years of war is pretty harsh. But I guess it's all perspective. All right, so we get the bearing stack on with the shim on top. That is easy to forget, so please do not do that. Make sure that you're putting that bearing stack on there. And then we do, I think it looks like one more spacer. No, that spacer's already there. Yes. So moving on, we're doing the joiner parts now. So looks like a lower plate, a printed part for both left and right. We'll do some lock nuts and some cap head screws. So I need some M3s. US Gen X and the boomers have had far too many days like that. Yeah, we're getting old, man. I think the longer you stick around, the more types of days like that you're gonna have. You tend to remember more and more that stand out to you. I just need, what did I do with, I thought I had pulled out the M3x8s, but I don't know that I did, so we'll find those. Okay, so there are some in here with Loctite. Probably don't want those. That can go in the trash, that's nasty. That can go in the trash, that's empty. Oh yeah, so last stream we were looking for M4 bolts from the kit. Couldn't find them. These were some spares that I had laying around in a box of just random hardware assortment. So I had a bunch of these in there, luckily. So I did not have to order anything on Amazon. Those are the M5 lock nuts we need. There are more of those. Again, we end up with a bunch of extra different hardware because of the way that RatRig assembles their kit, and those should be the M3x8s that we need for the next step. Throw all that away. Okay, cap heads we have lock nuts. I need 2 printed parts, and the lower plates are already out here. There are the parts, okay, left and right. Again, very nice prints off the Elegoo Centauri carbon. The holes do have bridging over top, so we'll bust through those. But yeah, came out nice. I think I'm gonna let my buddy borrow that Centauri carbon, just because he's in the market for a printer. We were talking about what he should get and whatever, and of course it's like, what's the budget? What do you print? Trying to get some answers out of the guy, and he's not exactly sure. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll just let you borrow my Centauri carbon, and you can play with it for a couple weeks. If you like it, then maybe that's the machine for you. He's kind of stuck between a P1S or possibly the Elegoo, I think, based on our conversation. I just don't know what his budget is, and so I told him that the P1S is $850, the Elegoo is $299, but it does not have the multicolor capability. I don't know that he necessarily needs the multicolor capability, so we're having that discussion, and I'll let him borrow my printer for a couple weeks, and we'll see what he does. Spend a little extra for an X1C? I can't, man. Like, now that the P1S is a thing, X1 Carbon makes a lot less sense. Those smart features that come on the X1 Carbon, things like laser calibration and whatnot, they don't make as much of a difference as you would think that they would. So paying for those additional features, I think, is a waste. I mean, we're talking about a gap of $600. Are the extra features on the X1 Carbon worth $600? I would say no. If you hate the screen, put a Panda Touch on it. That thing is $50. It gives you most of the capability, and then also you're going to do most of your, probably most of your printing and setup and things like that through the browser from Bamboo Studio or Orca Slicer or any of those, versus using the touchscreen anyway. Save the money, save the $500, put the Panda Touch on there, get the combo, you'll be fine. Just needs printer that prints out of the box. Yes, so P1S is perfectly fine. Elegoo Centauri Carbon is probably the better buy if you're doing single color. And then third-party firmware and Ethernet. I mean, if you care about that. Most people do not. Most people do not. All right, just double checking, make sure we got the stuff, and I think we do. These are the joiners we need. And let's unwrap this. I'm running the, what's it called, the X1 Plus firmware on my X1 Carbon. It doesn't have a warranty anymore. It's been out of warranty for 2 years. And so it doesn't matter to me that I run custom firmware on it. And that firmware doesn't add or subtract any functionality of the machine itself. So I don't know that it's worth it, but if you're worried about the way that Bambu Lab is doing their firmware and the way that they are locking things down and whatever, swap to the open source stuff and you don't have to worry about it. I've been running that on my machine for a while now. Okay, plates go on, and then we do M5x8s into these middle holes. I think the Elegoo bed is a fire hazard with the exposed wires. I'm not seeing exposed wires on mine. They're wrapped in a cable sleeve. Which wires are you talking about? Because I'm not seeing that. Yep, again, just enough hardware to do the job. It would be nice if they included, 10% extra or at least, 5% extra. But I get it. If you don't want extra hardware laying around, it's probably better not to do that. But at the same time, let's say, these things aren't made perfectly every time. I've had screws that were misthreaded or T-nuts that had burrs in it and whatnot, and they wouldn't attach inside the rail. It's too small. We need this guy. Too small. That guy. Come on. Did you guys see that? It's like magnetized, so as soon as I touched it to the screws, it pulled them all out instead of trying to tighten it down. Winning today. Unpacking the Elegoo a few weeks back, showed no sleeves. Maybe they added it after they got called out. Possibly. The machine that I got was ordered within a couple of minutes of launch. I got it maybe 4 days later. My wires coming out of the bed were wrapped. I didn't have any exposed wiring. So if they fixed it, they must have fixed it before they shipped the first printers. Okay, so it says tight in. them to the T-nuts on the 2020. We're gonna add locking nuts onto each screw like this. And then that should be it. It says do not over tighten as too much can force the gantry to bind. Okay. Fix the bed leveling speed. I don't know what it was before, so it's hard for me to give you a straight answer on that one. I do know that I did not think it was fast. And there hasn't been a firmware update to the machine after day one unboxing. So one of the first things we did was unbox the machine and update the firmware. And that firmware actually allowed it to print something, because before it wouldn't let me calibrate or anything. So we updated firmware. That seemed to work. And then we did some printing. It worked fine. I haven't seen an update since. 23 minutes. Yeah, that's a downside. But also it's meant to be done once. The way that they calibrate their machine is it runs like a 30-minute calibration. It does bed leveling and PID tunes and all these things, because it is closed source software. It's not open source, even though it looks and feels like Clipper. They say it's kind of not. We'll see. But yeah, that initial startup is a challenge. I don't level my machine each and every time, because it heats up the bed to 60, it levels, and then it goes on to do whatever print. It does take a while, but I don't level every time. I have my machine over there on Costco racks, and they sit on, that machine is actually on a piece of MDF, like a 1/4-inch sheet of MDF with one of those foam play mats underneath for isolation. I don't level the machine every time. You had a good laugh while we waited on stream. Were you here for that one when we unboxed it? It was probably, I think maybe beginning of February when we got that machine. We did a little unboxing on it. I need to find something to hold these nuts in place. Hey, Bearded Printer. Thanks for showing up. I think this will work. Oh, too small. Foiled again. I do have a tool. Where'd it go? Where did you go? We're trying to finish up the X-axis today, Bearded Printer. So I have one of these. Also too small. What did I do with my... I must have placed it in the other toolbox. Give me one sec while I chase that down. Gonna lurk here a bit. It's all good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, dude. It's great to have you. It feels good to know that this is getting out there and more folks are swinging by and catching it for the first time. Usually that's how I like to stream anyways. We chat, we talk about, I don't know, popular topics, and we build some stuff at the same time. Largely because I'm out here doing it anyway while I'm listening to someone else's stream. So I'm usually out here, I don't know, 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I will build whatever I can build in the amount of time that takes me up to lunch. And so why not stream while we're doing that? Unpacking was a disaster, and yes, the firmware did not work right. I wouldn't say it was a disaster. It unpacked perfectly fine. I opened that box like a champ. It just, it took us a while to get started, for sure. I think we streamed that day like it was a 2-hour stream. And in 2 hours, we got it out of the box, we updated firmware, and we printed a helicopter. Like a 20-minute helicopter. And we did all of that. Oh, it wasn't my stream. Okay. You had me scared for a second. It felt like a disaster to me on my side of things, because I was excited to get going with it, and it just did not want to play ball that day. Man, where's all my... So I found the right tool. I've got the right tool. I don't have the correct in bit here. So this is a 7. That's too small. I think I need an 8. Ah, I thought I had one here in the tiny toolbox, and I do not. So I'm gonna have to find something to do that with. This is why I like LDO stuff. So if they provide you a kit, it comes with the tools you need. It even comes with the heat insert tool to be able to do stuff. So this is an 8 box end. I think that'll work fine, and it does. So that's the tool you need right there. And we are going to tip this sideways and see if we can tighten things while we tighten things. And I'll try to keep up with your chat here. So Zombu, if it wasn't my stream, whose stream was that you were watching? That was a disaster. I don't want to dime them out, but at the same time, I'm curious. Bearded Printer, I know you're lurking. I printed a couple of things of yours recently. You're pretty good at designing stuff, so thanks for making your stuff available to the masses. So my plan is to just get this snug. We did have the warning in here. It says do not over tighten the screws too much. I don't want to create binding on the y-axis. That sucks. Good thing it wasn't a 10 or it would never get done. Oh, dude, so you're absolutely right. And that is not really a joke for those in the chat that aren't following. 10mm anything seems to walk away. It disappears. I don't know why. I can't find my 10mm box end wrench right now. I don't know what happened to it. And I did have some, oh man, what's it called? Parallel jaw, not vice grip. Man, it's gonna bother me until I remember it. The name of the company. They make like higher end tools. I've already lost 4 10mm this year. Yeah, I used to work a lot on cars. My passion has kind of switched a little bit over to 3D printing and 3D printers. Not Klein. It's like a German brand. Not Klein though. Oh man, what's the name? It's gonna bother me. Anyway. But no, I used to work on cars a lot, and I still sort of do, just not as much as once before. It's kind of, I don't know, expensive now, and maybe I just not wear a petty, not wear a. But thanks for being here. When am I gonna print a speaker box? Not too long from now, actually. I feel like you've been reading my journal. One of the things that I need to print is a speaker for this mini PC. So I'm running a Minis Forum mini PC to control the stream and all the things that you're seeing right now on YouTube. It's the size of a 10. So it's a cube that's about 7 inches by 7 inches and works great as a mini PC. But it doesn't have a speaker. And so I've been wanting to print a speaker for it and then just put like a little 4-inch speaker. Knipix, that's it, Digital Dragon, thank you. Knipix. I had a Knipix parallel jaw for this specific task. And I don't know what I did with it. I used it to work on the Golf and it disappeared. And it's not, I did not leave it in the engine bay. I'll tell you that. Not, what is it? Stall wheel? No, not that. It's Knipix. Digital Dragon with the save. Fell in the intake runners. I wish that were true. I wish that were true. It's not though. The intake on the VW is boxed in like most modern cars. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just putting a new hood prop on it because for whatever reason, Volkswagen decided not to do that. and it gave you a prop rod. But then installed a mounting point to have like a gas strut shock to open the hood, but they didn't pull it on it. It's an odd choice. So I just got a gas shock and installed that on the VW. And I needed my Knipex to tighten that stuff down. And then it disappeared. I have no idea where it is. I thought maybe I left it in the engine, and this was like 2 or 3 days later. So I go and open up the car to see if I left it in there like for real, and I didn't see it. So either number one, I didn't see it, or number two, I didn't leave it there. I left it somewhere else. But I've been all through this garage over the last 2 weeks, cleaning up, getting rid of extra stuff, trying to unpack our lives. Still 6 months later, not done. And I can't find the tool. So I don't know where it ended up. Hey, Iconic Fab. Nice printer that you've been showing off on Twitter lately. Ratcheting wrenches are so nice. Yeah, these are just standard GM Performance Parts box in wrenches. It came as a set. I got it at AutoZone. It's nothing special, but they are nice for tasks like this. Make sure you don't tighten down too much on the nylock. Yep. You're going to want to check bearing spin. Yep, we're going to do that. I'm not going any more than just like snug because I don't want to undo a whole bunch to undo and correct any racking that may be on this. But thanks for the reminder. You are correct. We do need to check that. You got a 99 Beetle with a 3.2 WR6 G60 trans and Audi TT all-wheel drive conversion. When you say you had it, why did you get rid of something like that? I feel like you should have kept that. It is a Beetle though, so it's kind of a chick car. But I think I would have kept something like that. Okay, so those are snug. We're doing the double check that Zims 3D. That's how I'm going to say it. If I'm incorrect, let me know how to say it. Zims 3D suggested we tighten down and just make sure these spin. They all do. That is something that could happen if you tighten down too much. These could bind and not work anymore, but they work fine. No binding. Again, I didn't tighten down that tight. They are lock nuts. They're kind of only meant to hold things together here. These M8s here on the top, and then this one here at the bottom that I probably need to tighten up. These are the ones that actually hold it to the rail. So again, we'll just get those snug because we're probably going to have to adjust. Those actually hold it to the rail using the T-nuts. These just sort of keep things together. So I'm not going to super tighten those even when we do tighten things down. 650 is too much for any Beetle. No, there's no such thing as too much for any Beetle. The engine twisted the body. Well, fucking drive it sideways. I don't know. Keep that thing. I would not have done that. 3D Print Nerd. What did he do? 3D Print Nerd did what? Super stuck with setting up sensorless homing on Kraken. So many hours. I could never get sensorless homing to work well with 5160's Iconic Fab. It was just easier for me to throw in a couple of in stops and call it good. By the hours that you spent trying to tune sensorless homing on 5160's, you probably could have been done with the project just using in stops. That would be my recommendation. Unless there's an absolute reason you cannot use in stops at all, I would just forego sensorless on anything but a 2209. It's a lot of pain for little gain. I think these go in here. Where'd my mouse go? Oh, I asked who it was. Sorry. I'm tracking now. Yeah, but Clown Hammer was talking about 3D Print Nerd. You're the one that said about the unpacking the Elegoo. Got it. I wish it was much more of a conversation versus, you know, having to read what you guys write, but we'll do our best. It's easy to understand when we talk face to face. There's tone, inflection. You can pick up sarcasm in voice. You don't necessarily pick it up in text. But thanks for clarifying. Oh, you know what else I did not do because I'm me? I forgot to put the heat insets in the side parts here. So I need to do that on both of these parts. So we get to do some heat sets real quick. Get some water and take a break, catch up on chat a little bit while we're getting that warmed up. I still don't have a stealth press, so sorry, I kind of fab. Working on it. We're gonna use the Amazon special. Don't worry, everything you say is sarcasm. I can relate. I am a huge smartass, as you know. Which makes me a great boss, by the way. Tinkering with 2025 3500 dually high country. When you say tinkering, what does that mean? Couldn't remember the name, had to ask Clown. Makes sense. Sensorless does work on the V0 ROPC, but on the V0 they also use 2209s. That's probably why it works. Yep. Oh, you know. And we get that set to 210. We probably need to go a little. All right, that's not 10. That's a 7. All right, we'll take it to 269 because that should always be how it works. It came with heat inserts. It came with these M3 by 4 by 4.6. I think there are more in this box over here. I'm gonna make sure they're the same. I don't know that we're using anything different. Yeah, these are the same. M3 by 4 by 4.6. So we're gonna use those. New ECU, TCU, a little bit of software. Cool. I did a little bit of that when I built my GTR. We had, ooh, I think I need to do another one right there as well. We did a little bit of that on a Haltech. It was not fun. I don't enjoy that. So good on you for knowing how. I think that was probably more the issue is I didn't have a lot of experience tuning a Haltech or tuning at all. So it was learning as I went, but I was also very cognizant that I didn't want to do anything wrong and blow up the engine. So they were small tweaks over time until I got smart enough with it to produce a result that I was happy with, and that's where I left it. So it was a lot of street tuning it, driving it, reading the feedback, making adjustments and changes slowly over a few weeks. And then I ran it like that for another, I don't know, 3 years until I sold the car. Let's see. And the DPF got to go. Not sure what DPF is. She began kicking. Yes. Forget about that. Yep. With her Timberland brand boots. Yep, still that way. All right, we got the heat set on that side. I want to say there's another one on the other end. Yep, I can see it in this photo. See it in the photo here. I need 2 heat sets in this part, not just the one. So I'm going to add that. And then we basically just put this on top, hold it in place with the M3s, tighten down that screw there. And then wants us to do the other side. But again, we did all of that as we were going. I'll just make sure that the picture looks like it should. Okay, so we'll make sure it looks like that when we get done. Yeah, it's good, Printed Vision. Thanks for being here, bro. As long as AF is all right, you good? What? Diesel's a little more forgiving. Oh, are you talking air fuel? I thought you meant something else. Air fuel, yeah. So that's what I was doing. I had to run a wideband on the car, and that was giving a feedback loop that we could monitor. And I was making changes based on the air fuel sensor. I've never done any diesel stuff. Only I took auto tech in high school. I thought that was going to be my vocation when I got out of high school, but the Air Force told me that I was too smart for that career field and that I should choose something with a higher ASVAB score. And so I ended up being a flyer instead. I don't know how true that is, but the flying portion is true. How the hell do you get belts in the hole on the positron toolhead? Rob, you're speaking to my heart. That is not fun. What I did is I kind of put one end of the belt through just enough to have it stick out, and I left the other one long. And so after I ran everything, they have you put that, I think it's a washer with a screw, and that goes into a heat set. You don't want to tighten that too much because it'll pull the heat set out. But I put it in that way, and then after I had everything installed and tensioned how I wanted it, I cut the longer end of the belt. And then I haven't undone it since then. Flyer is way better than a wrench. It's more fun. But I would have liked to have been a wrench because that gives me a skill set that I can use after my career. I was planning to do 6 and be done. I'm at 23 now. And even now, I can't take my skill set and directly go to the outside and do anything with it. Nobody does commercial air refueling like that. 500% more fun? Yes, definitely more fun. Not a life skill. So now I'm to the point in my career where I'm starting to look at what's next. What do you do later? Can't do air refueling. Only one end of the belt goes through the hole. No, I think both goes through, Rob. I don't have my positron out in front of me. What we can do, in the spirit of helping each other survive, let's go over here. And we'll go to positron. Let's see. LDO. Look at the assembly for you really fast. And I need a visual on what you're trying to do. So I think it is section 6 here. Yep. Fan, tool head, parts. Yep, yep. Nope. Being an enlisted flyer does next to nothing for you as a civilian. It's fun. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Definitely fun. Doesn't help you be an adult when it's time to adult. Just tell them you were great putting things in the small holes. They are appropriately sized, sir. Appropriately sized holes. I'm trying to find a where we install belts in this guy. This is not a positron stream, but I do want to help out my buddy Rob here. So it must be the next portion. Final assembly, maybe? Okay. Doing all that. Doing that. I remember this. Yep, remember all of that. Oh, it doesn't talk about it. It's naked the whole time. It doesn't mention belts. I would direct you to maybe the Discord channel and take a look at what they're doing over there. So this picture stands out. And yeah, so it's one long length of belt, Rob. I think you're correct in saying that it doesn't have two sides. So right here you have two different belts. So you have the dark blue belt, the light blue belt. They both go through tooth to tooth, and then they both come out of this end right here. So what you need to do is kind of put the two ends of the belt together and then run them around everything. Both of those ends need to go into the hole down here together, and they should loop around and out together. You install the screw in the washer to hold those two ends there. So the tension comes from you pulling it through. So you need to kind of pull it through while you're tightening stuff down. So get it just snug, grab the end of the belt with a pair of pliers, and then pull that to get the tension that you want, and then tighten down that screw. That's what I would do. But yeah, both belts go through this hole together. The teeth hold them in place. Hope that helps for you. Aerial gunner, what did you do? I put a big bullet in big guns. Pointy end goes away from you. You kill people and break their shit. That's a life skill. Yeah, teeth together. They should go teeth together. All right, we need to put these back onto the gantry here. So like so. I'm considering leaving these off, but I think I can get to them only because I may need to adjust the hardware on top. But it's only 4 screws, and it holds on a decorative piece. It doesn't provide any mechanical advantage. Yeah, you're welcome, Rob. Let me know if you get it. Reach out to me on Discord if you get stuck again. I'll try to. Maybe we can do a call if you really get stuck and see if we can talk you through it. I'll show you how my machine works. All right, hardware goes through like so. We get the correct tool out, and I'm just going to snug these down. So I'm going to use a ball end. This is just to hold the part in place, so we don't need to crank on it. Just get it snug, let it go. One side. Oh, what do we do? No, I'm knocking stuff off with the end of the gantry over here. All right, like so. Rob, I'm just thinking about it. I think Nomad has a few streams where he actually built a positron on stream. You may be able to go back and watch his stuff and kind of filter through to where he installs belts, and that might help you get a better indication of what you need to do. I was just thinking about that. His handle is Nomad's Galaxy on YouTube. Okay, decorative pieces on. Going back to our manual, this is the part that we just finished. Our gantry should look like that. So what I'm going to do is take a close look. It's reminding us to tighten down the bottom M5s. He has several, but the view isn't. Okay. All right, Lego Therapy, see you, bud. Thanks for being here like always. I'll be around. We could chat on the margins if you want. So we did that. Mine does look like that. I have bearings in the place, so I don't. I did it wrong. Good thing we checked. I'll show you. So keep in mind that this angle here on the right should have the bearing on the inside. Mine does not. Mine is backwards. This is why we check our work. So mine actually looks like this. So the bearing is on the outside. It should be over here. So we're gonna have to undo that and make the swap. And then on the back, on this rear one, back here, that one does look correct. But somehow up here we got these swapped. So we need to swap that around. Yeah, That needs to, these need to swap. Actually, they both are wrong. Dang it. Yep, the right side is completely backwards. We have to swap everything. His view isn't as good as yours generally until his new desk. He just bought. That is a pretty sweet desk, though. That is a pretty sweet desk. What did I just do? We can close this and this and this. All right, so yeah, we're gonna have to redo that entire side there. I did it backwards. Man, okay. This is why we double check. I thought I was getting ahead by just putting things together, and it turns out the left and right sides are, I thought they would be mirrored if I did them the same and flipped it around, and that's not true. So be forewarned. Thanks for the heads up. I think my mic died, actually. It didn't mute itself. Which is strange because I literally just charged this thing right before stream. So we're struggling right now to try and find a way to charge while wearing. So I'm going to be wired here for a second. How's that? It's because you came back. Can you hear me though? Rob or JPP, how are we sounding? Just trying to put this mic back on here. How's that? I mean, I'm seeing my audio working. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So this lapel mic died on me, even though that I charged it pretty much right before stream. So sorry about that. One day we will have one stream without issues. That is not today. We're keeping up the standard. So thanks for letting me know. Okay, back to doing this though. I love Digital Dragon jumping in here and razzing me though. 5x5, thanks. Someone failed to follow the TO. That's gonna stick in my brain for the rest of the week. All right, so we will undo all of my atrocious work here, like that. Hopefully things stay together. We'll take this top plate off. Cool. Pretty much we're gonna swap side by side here. So we'll take that out. Come on. That comes out. These come off. I wonder how much I need to dig into this, because if these are also wrong, you know what? We're just going to take the whole thing apart. It'd be a lot easier. It would be a lot easier to do that. And then we'll start from the beginning. Because someone failed to follow the TO, according to Digital Dragon. All right. So like so, we lost all our T-nuts. That's fine. I lost all my nuts. Solved the dilemma that you spent 2 hours on last night. Belt's done. Hey, look at that. That's a win. That's a win. Okay. So I'm going back. We'll go back here. It says assemble the right joiner. We'll start with the right side. We'll go back to part 1. Bolts are in. Good to go there. Center bolt is in. Good to go there. We have all of the spacers on because we did that before. We put the plastic part and the top plate. Part 3 is where we screwed it up. At least your balls of steel. Yes, 2 inches each. Losing your nuts are better than having screws loose. Not wrong. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Hey, Stone. Thanks, Nathan, for being here. I know you've been working hard, sharing some things on the YouTubes. How's everything in check? We are undoing my screw up here by swapping things around. So that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. And then we do finally flange nut. All of this pulley here comes off, even though it doesn't want to, which is strange. Here we go. All right, there's that. And that should be per the guide. And then we'll do going great. Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited, man. We are close. We're very close. And I can't wait. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit impatient. But not a you thing, that's a me thing. I'm just excited. So all right. That one got stuck in the part somehow. Okay. Done on this side here. We have on the far side should be a tall spacer there. So this guy goes here. This guy goes here. And that is correct per the manual. Now we can go back to what I did not remember to do earlier. And we'll put the printed part back on. Slide that over, slide the bottom one over. All of this goes on top of here. Gonna get some of the BTT smart sensors and replace it, but just bypass for now is good enough on the X Plus 3. I had thought about that for the Centauri Carbon as well. They have just, you know, a dumb filament sensor is what I'll call it. It pretty much just senses runout, not any sort of why is that not going all the way down? Oh, the screw in the bottom. That's why. It doesn't sense any sort of movement, so if it's jammed or whatever, you're not going to know it. And I thought about that. It's a 3-wire sensor, so it feels like I should be able to just pull that off of there and put on the new one. I would hope that it just plugs right in. Sorry, I'm going back. I hit my mouse with the gantry and it completely screwed up the instructions page. You also put a 0.6 ruby on it, but fairly certain it was a runout sensor all along, causing the snags and restriction. That is possible. If it's getting resistance through the sensor itself when you're printing, it could definitely snag and give you some errors that are hard to chase down, because normally you wouldn't think that it's hardware related, and I did that upside down. You normally don't think it's hardware related, so you end up doing, you know, nozzle stuff or extruder stuff. In reality, it's could be anywhere along the extrusion path. So everything from the place where it inserts into the machine all the way down through. So normally you would start with the easier stuff. So nozzle would make sense initially, I think. Sweet. So that is done. Plate goes back on top. According to the picture that I'm looking at, this looks correct now. We have bearings here at the front and then bearings here on the back, on the inside. And that is correct from the photo that I can see on the screen. Nathan says the SFS 2.0 is actually a really good value and it works well. Yeah, dude. So I was at Micro Center yesterday in LA because my rule is if I got to go to LA, you're going to take me to Micro Center and it better be worth my time. There were people camped out outside. I don't know exactly what was going on, but they had a line of people outside just to get in the store. I don't know what was going on with that. I just walked in, but it was a madhouse in there. There were so many people in there that day. I don't really know why. But going down there, they had those smart filament sensors, I want to say for like $15. And I didn't need any. I have 2 spares over there that I picked up the last time I went to Micro Center. Also $15. And yeah, they work fine. There's one on the V2 over there. And I have the other 2 saved for, one for the V2, the other for, what is that thing called? Switch wire. Sorry, brain's a little slow. No coffee this morning. All right, so hardware is here. We're going to put these lock nuts back on top and hopefully not mess anything up anymore. Getting a little late in the stream, so it's starting to show, I think. Relocating the sensors with a pair of models from Printables. All right. I do like that Printables has like a printer mod section now. When they originally came out a couple years ago, I think it was just printer specific models, like generic type terms, like decor or, you know, educational and things like that. And then they slowly started to add additional categories. And so now you can get pretty close on the printer mod section, which is great. I'm glad that they keep improving that thing all the time. They've changed categories. I never even looked. You just searched. Yeah, so now they have a category we can go under. I think it's like printer mods or something like that. And then you can select Voron or Prusa. And there's another category that's like other. And I think the Cheaty would be in the other category. But yeah, I think it's probably, you get there faster just by searching what you want. I just took note that they did add that category in there. snug this up here. Spins, don't want to get in trouble. It does spin. All right, Luke, thanks for hanging out, man. I always appreciate you coming by. What's it? Ecovate and swap some parts on the Optimus P1 Pro. Yeah, do your thing. Dropping tools. How bad Thingiverse search is. Thingiverse search is still bad. I don't know that it's gotten any better. It is still bad. I have not used Thingiverse for anything. Oh man, in probably 3 years. It's difficult to manage. The amount of crap that's on there, I don't understand it. I just don't. Ads work though. Yeah. I mean, if you're into ads. But that's the thing. If we stopped using it, ads wouldn't matter. Ads would go away. The site would not be, I don't want to say it would just die right away, but it would not be as much of a distraction as it is. People get to vote with what they consume. So if you don't consume a bad product, it goes away. It's kind of how it works. Yeah, same. Thingiverse is not useful for a lot of things. It's just kind of there. They were the life support for you guys for so long. Yeah, because I think what it took is just folks noticing that it sucked and we're going to do something about it. A lot of times we are very good at admiring a problem and saying, that's a nice problem you got there. Hope it works out. It took Prusa and Colts and MakerWorld and Fangs to say enough's enough. We need something better. And they put in the work to make it better. But again, you need folks with that amount of motivation to hate things so much that they want to do it differently. And then greed took over? In what way? When you say greed, what do you mean? Are you talking like ads? The way that MakerWorld, or sorry, not MakerWorld, Thingiverse does ads all over everything? Ads are more important than a working site. Oh, yeah. Yep, you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like most of the stuff that's even on there, I won't say most, that's probably incorrect. A lot of the things that are on there are not even A, printable, or B, necessary. It's, I don't know. All right, so going on down, it looks like we're gonna put a linear rail on next. So we're here. I'll verify here for everybody. This is what our new right side looks like. I'm looking at it on the desk. Things do match the picture here. So we are good to move forward. Printables and things are far more functional over sites like Colts. Yes, Colts is very laggy. If you've ever tried to use it and log in, it takes, I don't know, 30 seconds to load. But I do like that they have GIFs and moving photos so you could see kind of what the print does that you're doing and little videos and things like that. It's not great, but it works. Renders, there you go. If they're worth it, they're reposted. That's a good point. That's a good point. If they're valuable, they'll be posted on a proper model hosting website. Okay, we get the rail out with the 2 carriages. We're gonna do some drop-in T-nuts, some cap head screws, some M3s with the blue Loctite. Got those. And then some M3 washers. All right, let's find all that stuff. So we have no use for that. There's our old M3s. We need a rail, which I have. Try not to yank the mic out of the wire here. Let's see, let's get the hardware box. Probably gonna need that. So there's the hardware box. I have cap head screws with blue Loctite indicated by the BT. We have, what do we say, T-nuts, M3s. We have those right here. And then we need M3x8 cap heads, like normal. Okay, so those are the normal ones. And then some washers, M3 washers. What did I do with those? Microvolt filament with copyright whiners. You get a model and 4 pages of how this guy took my stuff and reposted it. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. That's never good. Like if you put yourself in that person's shoes, it would suck if somebody just took your stuff and reposted it because they want free points, because they think they're going to get free filament or free printers or whatever the case is. That kind of sucks for that person. So while it is funny-ish about whining, it is not fair to that designer. I mean, that if it is true that that person actually took their stuff. But like you, I think there are, I don't know, maybe some people that are not exactly authentic with their complaints. I'm sorry, I had to adjust the mic there so that I could move around and grab these parts. So on the desk, I'm going to move this gantry. We don't need it for now. Looks like we just need the rail out of the bag. Try not to lose the carriages. It's also noticeable that they chose for each set of rails to do something different. The Z rails had nothing to keep the carriage on. The rails we used on X and Y had inserts into the holes to hold the carriages. And then now with the X-axis, they have these little, I guess, O-rings that slide onto the rail to keep it from coming off. So a different technique each time. I don't know that I've ever seen these O-rings on there though. That's different. I don't hate it. I'm gonna take some of the oil off of this rail though. When I put it back in the bag, I think there was still a lot of oil in the bag, and it just made it very slippery. Put it on the desk and see if it's warped. The rail should not be warped, but we'll check. Hey, Projects in Dad's Garage. I saw that you were posting a Micron's refresh the other day. How's that going for you? I wasn't able to catch it yesterday. We were down in LA, kind of on the road, in and out. And I didn't want to use all of my data streaming, so I caught a couple of minutes. All right, folks want to know if it's flat. Let's put it here on the edge of the desk. It's not warped. I'll tell you what, let's take the rings off. Yeah, it's flat. I've got no issues with that one. Good, just wrapped up putting the gantry in. Good, man. That's what we're doing right now in the RatRig is trying to get the gantry set up. We had a few snafus trying to use a lightweight rail. The parts I had printed did not work as advertised. And so we're swapping everything back over to a 2020. Which is probably the better bet anyway for an IDEX build. So many tools. So many tools. Okay. So it tells us to take one of the carriages off. I'm not thrilled about that. And then it says keeping the second carriage in the X rail will result in poor belt tuning and input shaper results. I think that's for like a single tool head. I'm not going to. Ouch, that's not good. No, you're good. It's it was, I don't know, 20 minutes of having to undo the work that we did and recover the T-nuts and whatnot. Yeah, so this step here, right, step 21, I don't think applies to an IDEX build from the start. I think this is, they give you the rail with both carriages on, just in case you want to upgrade to IDEX later. And so they have you take one off. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep both on. So we're going to skip that step and then just continue on with putting cap head screws, it looks like, in every other hole. Yeah, so both ends, and then skipping, going through every other with a T-nut, and then, yeah, and then we get into putting that on the gantry. So we'll do that. Cap head screws in 3x8s and drop in T-nuts. So that can go to the side. Thread locker can go to the side. Just use these normal M8s. So I'm already looking at the time. I'm probably not going to get to doing belts today. Belts will probably have to wait until next stream. I'm going to try not to do those behind the scenes unless you guys don't really care, then I will. But if anybody wants to see that stuff, speak now or forever hold your peace. We do need to get this build done in a relatively decent amount of time. And so if I delay doing anything at all, it'll take us 8 or 9 streams to get through this. And if I can do certain things like belts or installing motors and whatnot off stream, some of the less interesting stuff off stream, then we'll be fine. Right on both decisions. Okay. Yeah, so had I prepped a little more, we could have done this off stream and just had this ready to go to drop in. I did clean the rails off stream, so they're good to go. But I feel like doing belts, unless you guys really need to see that, I'll probably do that one off stream as well. Come on, why are you flipping around? Oh, the rail here, like with the carriages being offset, it was trying to fall down instead of just letting me do what I want to do here and keep it on its side. Move that down. I think I'm gonna slide these things back on the end so we don't lose our carriages, because if that hits the floor, we're gonna lose our balls again. I can slide that down. There we go. That. Yeah, I'm just doing every other hole, and I hope that I have enough T-nuts, because this is all they sent. I've got 2 more, and I think there are like 3 more holes. So unless there are T-nuts in a different bag somewhere, we're going to be fooked. Yeah, I think we're going to be 1 short. I do have a spare somewhere. If you're building printers, you probably have spare T-nuts around. You definitely don't want to lose your balls. You're right. Belt tuning is way more important than just installing belts. I agree with that. We are exactly 2 T-nuts short in the kit. Go for it offline. Maybe just a quick recap. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Nathan. We kind of did that with the motors earlier in the stream. There's definitely not any extra T-nuts anywhere. This is the hardware box. Oh, here we go. I lied to myself. There are extra T-nuts in here. Whew. That's what I'm talking about. The different kits, like you have a stock kit, then you have a hybrid upgrade, then you have an IDEX upgrade. Each one of those comes with a different baggie full of parts. Oh, you know what I just did? I'm such an idiot. Nobody on stream caught it. Did you guys see what I did? 2 hours and 8 bolts put in. Yep. Did you see what I did? And we've been streaming for 3 hours, sir. Don't cheat me. We have 3030 M3 nuts on the rail. You caught it, just didn't say anything. I appreciate that. These are 3030 T-nuts. I can tell that I did not sleep last night. Making dumb mistakes like this, that's how you know it's time to call it in before you get too far into things and create a lot of headache. So we have to undo all of these, take these off. These are 3030 M3s instead of using these 2020s. So we're gonna do that, and then we'll get this on installed. I think it wants me to put it on the machine. We'll see what the next steps are. But my hive mind let me down. Let me do, how many is that? 8, 9 T-nuts incorrectly. Just didn't catch it, full of crap. So am I. We slept about 4 hours last night after getting home and getting everything settled, put away, kind of winding down. It was about 4 hours until it was time to get up to get out here and get ready, or at least get started. I'll say it that way, get started. I'm a up at 4:30 kind of guy, so I get up and get started. Part of it is, you know, if I need to print something, I'll print it. If I need to set up something for stream, I'll get that set up. And I don't know that being tired helps with motor skills, because we did all of these wrong. Sweet. There we go. No, come on. This is like the most fiddly part. I don't know who likes doing T-nuts. This is probably the thing that I like the least. It's putting T-nuts on rails. It's just not my favorite. Can I put these back in the bag? No, that's empty. Oh, there it is. Not my favorite thing. T-nuts and rails. And then also using magnetic tipped drivers don't help. It wants to pull the steel screws out. You prefer using the roll-in? Yeah, so I'm trying, Petty, to stick to the kit and the hardware that I have. I do have roll-in T-nuts, and that's not a bad idea, honestly. To just swap over to that. The problem with it is, like, now you have to align them in the gantry itself before you can screw it all down, and if one of them is out, it can get a little frustrating, but we can do it. I did end up purchasing, where'd they go? They're in the box. I purchased, for this reason, some of the 3030 version of that. So I got this bag. These are M5 version of the 3030 of the roll-in type, in case I wanted to mount stuff on the frame or whatever. But yeah, I do down below have a bunch of roll-in stuff, and we need M3 2020s for here, and that is in particular the one that I don't have a lot of stock of, but I do believe I do have some, so that's not a bad idea. Beefy, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I should have been using 2020s. I ended up grabbing the 3030s because I'm tired. We're making dumb mistakes at this point. Ah, come on. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is so fiddly. I thought that was on there. Oh, by the way, did you guys see the new Nintendo Switch coming out? So the other thing that I do with my daughters is we play Nintendo Switch together. And we'll do Mario Kart and Kirby and things like that. So like the more family-friendly type games. And so we watched the live drop right before they went to school. We caught about half of it before they left for school. And I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited about that coming out. Well, they didn't scrub the release date. The release date is still the same, 5 June. What they did was scrub the pre-order date. So pre-order date was supposed to be 9 April. It is now to be determined. But again, I think that's because of the tariffs. And if you want to know more about why the tariffs may or may not suck, or why or how that impacts you, Nathan Builds Robots did a great job at going over the facts of that, and he made a video about it. So I would suggest, if you want to know why, go watch his video, and he kind of breaks it down. Yeah, he'll do a better job talking about it than I could. You did see it. Pretty sure you'll get one at some point, but not crazy about the pricing. Yeah, pricing is pricing. But again, I think if you look at the inflation aspect of, 7 years ago was when the Switch 1 came out. And that launched at $300. The same conversation we're having right now about pricing was the conversation back then. So for what it's worth, it's, I think, roughly the same if you adjust for inflation. But now you're adding, what, 54% tariff on top of it? That's the part that sucks. They should have added to the tariffs that the companies can't roll it over to the buyer and prices have to stay pre-tariff. They're not going to do that, let's be honest. If they did that, they would lose so much that it would hurt the business, and there may not be a Nintendo after that. All right, where are we at in the instructions here? Rail goes on the other side of this. Let's flip that over. Go on like so, using the tool as a tool to make the gap correct. All right. Did I install this correctly? So I just want to check my work here. Make sure the top pieces look like they should, and they do. Okay. Get nervous about that. I make one mistake. He said, yay for higher taxes. That's the funny part, Petty. Like, we see them as taxes because you're going to end up paying for it. People will argue you down about that and say, no, it's not a tax. It's paid for by whatever company. That's not true. That's an ignorant argument that is not factually accurate. That's not how they functionally work. I'm trying to find the tool that I need. Spacing tool. Companies just roll it over the buyout. Yes, I mean they have to. They're in it. Businesses are in business to make money. Why would they eat cost? If rules change and economic policy changes and they incur additional costs, business rules state you pass that on. That becomes part of the production of whatever product they are selling. Like, they don't just stay and get absorbed by that company. That's an idiotic way of thinking about it. And then we need what, 12 MG and 12 alignment tools. I've got some of those in the parts bin right here. I just need 12s. There's a 12 and there's a 12. All right. Bringing you down to the desk, we'll get this going. So we're going to put the rail on. It does need to go this way. So it essentially hangs from the Y rails like this. And then the rail and everything else goes on top like so. So if you've ever inverted your axis on a Trident or a V2, that's what we're doing here. But that's how it should be stock on the RatRig. The buyer pays the tariff, which in this case is people in the US. Correct. Either way, that tariff is moot since we pay our own tariff. We impose punishment ourselves. Yep. Yes, we do. So if you don't want to pay increased prices on things, then don't consume things, which kind of sucks because we've grown accustomed to consumption. The U.S. is a consumer nation. We buy things, and it's going to cost more to buy things now. Pretty much everything. There is nobody in the country that will grow mangoes or bananas or that kind of stuff, yet now those things are going to cost more. Should be a spares bag. For what, Zimzy? I do have a spares bag. It is this one right here. I do have a spares bag, but right now I haven't broken into it. I'm trying not to until I need to. I didn't have enough T-nuts earlier because I grabbed the 3030 M3 T-nuts, not the 2020s. So like a lot of times we had to undo and redo that work. It wants me to use this tool now to space the, oh, not in the current timeline? Yeah, that's fine. I figured. I just didn't want to call you out. So that goes in there. That keeps the correct spacing off of the right side. And then we can start tightening down. The instructions say push the linear rail against the frame jig to ensure that they sit flush. It does. If I remember from my Y rails, it has me start on one end and work my way back. I think that's probably an appropriate technique. Not to mention that it took several decades to spin down manufacturing capacity in the US. Spinning it back up won't happen quickly. Correct. So we're going to feel the pain for years. And then who knows, like in 3 years, 3.5 years, you're going to have somebody else that may have a different opinion on how to do things. And they may roll back all that. So all this churn that we're doing right now could be possibly for no reason at all. We stopped ordering parts from JLC since it would make parts unaffordable for people. A part for a vintage computer that was $35 is now almost double. It's double because there's a 54% tariff on China. So everything that you get from China, anything, China.com, China, Wish.com, whatever, Shein, AliExpress, the resellers on Amazon, international eBays are going to be 54% more. Let's see, 5 to 10 years and we'll be doing great again. It depends on how you define great. I think most people just want prices to either increase slowly so that we can keep pace. Because think about it, I'm not going to get a pay raise as soon as prices increase. That's going to take a couple of years of high quality performance, and then maybe I get a promotion or I move jobs to something that pays a little more. That's kind of true of everybody, right? The longer you stay at a place, the more experience you have, the more you get paid. And so if you increase prices over 5, 6, 7 years, slowly, little by little, people can absorb that based on them growing. If you do it overnight, everything increases 2 weeks later, people are not going to be able to absorb as easily. Shamey had an ordeal the other day where they sent in paperwork for aluminum on a steel stencil. I didn't watch that stream. I'm curious about that. All right, so we just snugged that down. It tells us to, I think, continue to tighten. Yeah, it says fasten all the screws starting from the jig side this way, and do not over tighten as it can cause the rail to bind. Right now they move very smoothly, no issues there. So we're going to start over here and then torque these down fairly tight going this way. To do that, we'll get an actual Allen key, not a ball head, because I don't want to break the ball head and I don't want to round out the screw head. So I do this in several stages. I just have them finger tight right now. I'm just going to do a little bit of a turn on each one, and then I'll come back and do that several times. We were talking about building cars in motors and stuff earlier. This is a technique you will use on assembling an engine. You'll torque to whatever spec at level 1, and then you'll do a second torque sequence on a thing oftentimes. And that's just to control the warpage. You don't want to crank down over here. Everything else will be loose, and it gets wavy. Does it matter on a 3D printer? Maybe not, but I think good technique is good technique. Let's see, not a stream. He just kept getting sent import paperwork for aluminum. Oh, okay. So he bought steel parts, but was getting charged or trying to be charged for aluminum prices. Stupid. That is stupid. Okay. Everything still moves smoothly. We'll go through one more time and tighten this down to final spec. So I did like a quarter turn on the first one. I'm doing about another quarter turn here. So in all, maybe a half turn total to make this tight. That's after I get them all snug. Even after telling customers it's not aluminum, I kept sending them the paperwork. Yeah, because they don't know, dude. They're just like sending the bill. They read the bill of lading, whatever the import paperwork said. It said aluminum on it, so that's what they want to do. They're not opening the stuff and like checking to make sure it's steel and all that. No, they're doing their jobs. They follow the paperwork. So that just tells me that his initial paperwork was probably wrong. I don't know how you fix that. I don't import things as a business like that. I've never been sent a import bill. I guess I will now if I continue building printers. Luckily, we had the RatRig for a year. There's another tool changer in a box that we can do. There's another one on the way, which I'm really excited to build, but now that I'm talking out loud, I'm probably gonna get a bill for that one. Oh, it said steel on the stencil. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna get a bill for this next printer, but we do have the tool changer up. Depending on how long that other one takes to ship here, we may not get to that one for another month or so. So the goal is to finish up the RatRig, get that commissioned, online tuned, all the things, and then if we still are waiting on the other printer, we'll build a tool changer. And maybe Bondtech can get us some IDEX parts and we'll build it as an IDEX machine. But I'm kind of excited for that one. I do not own a tool changer right now. I would love to. Carriages move smoothly. Happy about that. No binding. I don't know how much more we're going to get through this. We're about 10:22 right now on the time. Going through here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Shoe should be tight with 98 Newton centimeters of torque. I never did get that torque wrench. I meant to stop by a Harbor Freight. We ran out of time yesterday doing all the family stuff. So we're not going to do that. But my torque arm says that I'm at 98. Let's see. It's supposed to be a fuel bolts or all. Why would you only tighten some of them? That doesn't make any sense. Issues with a single cool. Again, that's one of my there should be some cleanup in here to remove some of this stuff that either A, you already fixed, or B, is only relevant to one person, not the collective. Expanding to USA early. Okay. That's good news, Nathan. I need to we need to connect. I'm curious about some things. So I'll reach out to you after this. Hopefully you have some time. If you don't, that's fine. Things AHF are getting so expensive. I mostly buy the good stuff now. Oh, at Harbor Freight. At Harbor Freight. Again, tariffs, bro. That stuff comes from other countries that get brought here. So if it is getting more expensive, it is because of price increases. Good stuff is cheaper than iron ton at Harbor Freight. Yeah. All right, so we just basically drop this onto the machine, and then we do the washers and M8 nuts with thread locker. That's interesting. I've never thread locked my carriages before. Don't over tighten as it can cause the gantry to bind in the Y direction. Okay. And then we do the same on the other side. Harbor Freight has been too expensive for the last couple of years. I think have you seen an increase in quality though? I'm not a huge Harbor Freight guy, but if I need a tool, that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. Before, I had to drive about 45 minutes when I was back in Oklahoma to get to a Harbor Freight. And so every time I would go out there for when I used to have braces, no. So when I used to have braces, I would have to drive 45 minutes to the next town to be able to get that service. And so while I was out there, I'd hit Harbor Freight. It's kind of the same here. It's about 35 minutes away. So when I go and make a trip down there, I usually stop by to pick up a thing that I need or something that's been on my list. And I've noticed that their prices are a little more expensive, but the quality of tool has changed as well. It's gotten a little better. I don't know how many sockets I broke, a decade, 15 years ago that were impact rated, and then you put it on an impact and it just explodes. I haven't had that issue as much lately. Quality in Harbor Freight is not something you use in one sentence. Correct. What I'm saying is the quality they used to have is not the same that they have now. Hand tools aren't the size they say they are. Well, how else do you round over any of your hardware? All right, so we're gonna install that. We're gonna test it. It's gonna probably have me check for, check for binding. I'm gonna make sure that things are aligned and they touch the front of the rail. We have no racking. So cool, we'll get through that. And then preparing the belt, probably not gonna do that today. We'll save that. I'll finish out this guide off stream using whatever technique they're showing here. Yeah, so I'll run these belts off stream. We'll talk about it on the next one. I think that's a good idea that Nathan suggested. But yeah, bro, Nathan, see you later. I missed your thing there if you're already gone, but thanks for swinging by. Yeah, so we'll do belts after stream today. We'll get the gantry on real quick, and I'll do all of this. We'll talk about it next time as we're doing the bed assembly. So bed assembly will be next for us. All right, we'll do this part right here. Take you guys over to my not Harbor Freight toolbox. And that camera's all messed up. What did I do, bump it? There we go. So that guy there, we're gonna drop this on to here. And I need to pull these plugs out of this. Yeah. Hopefully the mic, because I'm still connected to power here. Hopefully the mic doesn't die on me. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. If you guys see that I'm moving the mouth but nothing is being heard, just drop an F in the chat. Yeah, pull the plugs out of there and we'll get the gantry on. Hopefully not backwards. I'm gonna check that really quickly on the instructions to make sure that I'm viewing this correctly. All right, so the heat inserts should be towards the front of the machine. And I'll show you guys here. These heat inserts on the gantry at the bottom here. These should be towards the front. So that's what I'm doing. Harbor Freight isn't top quality, but they're usually good enough. Yes, that's what I'm saying. We're not building, you know, high performance race cars on CNC'd blocks or anything like that. Like, this is not a machine shop. But I think if you just need a torque wrench to torque to 98 Newton centimeters, Harbor Freight is good enough. I'm just trying to move our hammers away, put them back where they're supposed to be. But we are sort of winding down the stream here. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on progress so far. Liking the build, hating the build. All opinions are welcome. All right, so that fits in there. I'm not worried about that. Let's find our hardware. So we got the thread locker screws. And the washers, come on. You're going to lose a Harbor Freight purchase before you break it? Boothie says the build is awesome. I think Boothie is just being very nice. He doesn't want to dig holes today, so he's in the chat doing chat things. I'll tell you, for me, it's been pretty fun. It's a different pace. I've built a lot of Voron stuff lately, and so doing something a little different is nice. Build is just flat out cool. That's kind of how I feel too. I've been playing a lot with the Bamboo H2D, and there's not a lot to it. You just print and go. So there's the satisfaction level is in the quality of the print that you get after a few hours. It's not in the hours of assembly and attention to detail as this build is. So right now, RatRig is probably a little more enjoyable for me. I'm going to attempt to get out here in the mornings and do a little more before work. But again, every early morning is less sleep. So depending on what's going on, we may do some of that. I'm really considering adding a shorter evening stream sometime during the week. So if you guys have opinions on when that should be, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm thinking maybe a Tuesday or a Wednesday is where I'm at. If you like to build, don't even have a torque wrench. Use the Slice Engineering nozzle torque driver. I have several of those. I've got one. I've got this Slice one, and then I can't say that I use it all the time because it's for a certain size nozzle. So I went and got this kind. That is a generic one that will take a socket of whatever size you want. And that works for your V6 nozzles and whatever. I don't know why Slice decided to go with a different size and get away from the standard and try to create their own. I don't understand that logic, but it's something they did. So you need their torque wrench. They're kind of doing the same again with, what's their new nozzle called? The Fin, F-I-N standard. I don't see the need to change what we've been using in this community for a while. They're just doing a thing because they want to do a thing, is what it seems like. I don't see an advantage of a fin nozzle over a normal V6. Zambu says good. All right, so on the far side over here, these bolts don't necessarily line up. They are probably a millimeter too far this way. They need to come back towards the camera. I'm not sure why that is. So it's a printed part thing probably. And that's why I was hesitant to tighten things down, because I feel like the printed parts need to move in. So I'm going to loosen that. You said greed, not a fan of Slice whatsoever. Oh, greed. I saw it as good. Yeah, that's on me, not knowing how to read. All right, so I'm going to do that. Hopefully slide that together. I can hear the kids in there in the house awake now. So yeah, it's probably about time to wrap this a little bit. Loosen that one, loosen these ones. Why are they different sizes? That drives me nuts. The hardware on the top is a different size than the hardware on the bottom. Like, let's just use the same size. Because now I have to have several tools just to do one job. All right, Petty, see you, buddy. One day I'll do giveaways on the stream and we'll invite you back. Yeah, these don't really align like they should, and I'm not sure how to fix that right now. Do I just loosen everything? If Zims is still in the chat, if you have any ideas on how to make this move. So these are in, right? They're in the rail. I tried to rack it because I thought maybe they would align if I did that. It's not working. They're still basically a millimeter away from where they should be on this far side over here. Slice is a local production company that 3D prints for the U.S. military, NASA, Honda, etc. Products they sell are things that they make for their own production. Yes, but they also run a brand that sells to the public. And so there's a public-facing arm that they've decided to do something different on. But Prusa also sells to the military and to companies and all this stuff, and they didn't change a standard. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. Loosen one Y rail. Okay, I could try that. I was worried about it being out of sync or something. Not out of sync, that's not the right word. Unparallel, not parallel. I do have the holders, so I'll do that anyway. We'll put those back on. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. That's for the Z. Where's my small one? There we go. So we'll put those back on. I'll loosen up the rail. That's probably a good solution. And we'll see if they work that way. All the black hardware, it's hard to see it. It looks like just a hole. Loosen. And Zims, if you have a suggestion on whether I should tighten front to back or back to front, I'd love to hear it and kind of the reason why. Or does it even matter? RatRig was very clear on a certain direction for the x-axis. I don't remember hearing a certain direction for the y. Okay, those are all loose now. I don't know that it's giving me enough movement to be able to tighten that in the hole. It's still just shy. Like, I could probably barely get that in there, force it a little bit, but I feel like that would make binding occur. We'll see. I'll get a couple started and we'll see how it goes. Loosen both rails, sorry. Okay, we can do that. Then use guides on one of them to make sure it moves. Then tighten other Y down with fuses, one at a time using X as a guide. Fuses? I don't know what fuses are. Tighten it down with fuses. Either, just be consistent. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just be consistent. Okay, so we'll loosen both. I just wish that it was in the manual that way. We could have saved ourselves some time here. I would have done this. I would have not tightened this down all the way. I would have just had them on here loose. I really spent time making sure they were square and straight and tightened appropriately, etc. If we just put them on here loose and said what you're saying as part of the guide, that would have been helpful. It's not enough. You may have to loosen the X carriage bolt holding it to the 2020. Yeah, I've already done that. And it wasn't enough. I'm just used to building a trident. I built 3 of those. And I assume that this would be very similar because it is. It doesn't seem to... It's probably because these parts are laser cut or whatever, CNC cut. So it's not as forgiving as plastic parts. And that's fine. All right, so I'm just putting these down snug. I'm not like cranking on them or anything. Just putting them down snug so that they function together. You can't type not fuse. You meant to say the guides. Autocorrect will get you every time. I did the same as I did at first. Yeah, it's a learning process. The guide could use some updates. Okay, so that's on. I can still rack, as you can see, so they're not on super tight. They're able to move, and that's not binding anymore. But following use, Zims, thanks for being here. You are being very helpful. I'm going to do what you said and just tighten down one of these rails. I'm going to tighten down this left side here, the one that's away from the camera. And then we'll see where we go. So just like on the X, I'm going to use that technique of doing multiple passes to get things tight. So right now, finger tight using the ball side. We'll move the guide, ball side, and then we'll come back, go along the length one more time with maybe a quarter turn to a half turn to get that snug where it wants to be. Like that. So a quarter turn on each of these is what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing as I turn these. It's about a quarter turn, and I'll come back again and just make sure that they are all roughly the same tighten. I am not going to go to 98 Newton centimeters. I've never done that on any machine. I don't plan to start. I'm just going to go until they're good and tight with not a lot of force. So I can feel the Allen key kind of flex. When the Allen key flexes, probably too much, then I know I'm good. All right, so that rail is tight. Things are moving just fine. We'll move these guides over to this side now. Let's see. You said you can't type. Did the same. Feel me. All right. Just want to make sure I'm not missing your tips. You've been very helpful today. So, is this your first time catching the stream? I don't know that I remember seeing you in the chat before. I think I'll put that at the end. Okay, like that. All right. So as you're tighten, you said you just kind of go a little bit at a time. It's not enough. You may have to loosen the X carriage bolts. Loosen one Y, both Y. Then use the guides on one Y rail and make sure it moves. So should I tighten down this far side? Like fully tighten that and then come over here and work on this side? Is that what you're saying? Because I feel like that's what I want to do. But I know that we need to make sure they both touch the front at the same time. Okay, about halfway. Again, just getting everything finger tight. Being this close to these rails after I cleaned them and greased them, I'm smelling that grease hardcore. Yes, you use X rail as guide on second side only. Okay, so I should tighten this far side over here before I get down too far. Okay, so let's take these off then, so I can do this. Let's make sure that touches like it should. Oh, I did put the front idlers on as well. Yes, tighten the far first side down because it will be the guide square. Gotcha, we can do that. So I'm gonna press this up against the stuff. We'll tighten down the Y rail over here. Again, same thing. I'm going finger tight, and then I'll come back and put some torque and a star pattern on that. That one was a little looser than I thought. Okay. Oh, that's pretty tight right there. This one, I think maybe just making sure that this one is loose enough to be able to move. Okay. Catch you later. All right, Boothie. See you, buddy. We went a little long today, so thanks for hanging out for almost 4 hours. All right, as I push this back, it should align my rail, I think is what you're saying. And right now, that's pretty smooth. I'm not feeling any binding at all on that. I mean, it feels solid as it should, but it is not binding, and it moves smoothly. All right, so we'll go through, do a quarter turn on all of these, and as I'm going, I'm kind of moving this rail back and forth to make sure things stay in alignment here. Missed. Tight. 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 And tight. Still moving nice. All right, we're gonna go final tightening on this one. That last probably quarter turn until we feel the Allen key flex a little. I got the idea. Well, thanks to your help. Yeah, this is not the first printer I've built. I tend to do something similar on my Trident, but I do it after I get the belts installed. So I'll generally put everything on, you know, kind of snug, not tight at all, just snug so that all the things can move. I'll belt the entire machine and then start moving it through its range of motion to make sure that everything touches like it's supposed to. There's no racking in the gantry and that kind of thing. And then I go through and tighten everything down. RatRig is having us do this, per the manual at least, is having us do this all kind of in stages. That's not my normal workflow. So I hope that things turn out well and we don't get racking when I put the belts on later. If we do, I'll deal with it. I'll probably just go back to my normal, and there's a smudge on there. I'll probably go back to my normal, unloosen everything, tighten it all up after belting, and then press forward from there. If I end up doing that, I'll tell you guys about it on the next one. We'll walk through kind of what I did, and hopefully that is useful for folks. But right now it's feeling pretty smooth. So it sounds like I can tighten down this carriage here. And they said not to over tighten so that you don't bind it. I'm gonna go just until, again, we get some flex in that Allen key. I don't need it to be super tight, but that feels pretty nice right now. Lands at the front simultaneously. I'm not feeling any racking in there. maybe just a little bit. See if we can flex it to go. And then at the back, same. Front, same. So now I'm just going to go through and tighten down the rest of this. So I'm going to hold this in place, tighten down these M5s that we loosened at the top and the bottom with 2 different tools. I'm still mad about that. But we'll do this top one first, and that'll hold it in place. Keep the gantry where we want it to be. Like so. And then we'll do the bottom 4 after we move it. Just tighten that guy down. And these we can kind of put some force on. These are M4s. They're going to T-nuts, slide-in T-nuts that are on 2020. So we can really crank on that one a little bit. Now let's make sure we didn't tweak anything. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, that's great. No, I'm feeling no binding there. Everything feels smooth at all. I will, man. I'm definitely going to add you Zims. It sounds like you are pretty good at this. Maybe built a RatRig or 2 before. But that is X-axis on with Y carriages on. There's still like a lot of oil on that rail. I'm gonna wipe that down before I forget. What did I do with my towels down here? Okay, just want to wipe this down. I'm starting to get it on my hands. I'm like, where is this coming from? All right, sweet. So that is X-axis installed. It only took us 3 hours to do it, but we were, making some mistakes, chatting along the way. So it's always a good time. Can't complain. But that is where we're going to wrap up the stream for today. I'll take any last questions or any last comments before we close it down. Always appreciate you guys hanging out, helping out, talking shop, talking about the next new thing. And then we got some new people here too. So Zims is new for us. Zombu, also new. You have the V-Core 4 IDEX 500. That's a big machine. That's a really big machine. I have a 3.1 400 size. I have not built yet. It's been in the original box since launch. Never built it. That was a couple of years ago. That's how far behind I am. So you being new here, kind of give you some insight. That's why we stream, is so that I can get some of these projects done. So thanks for the help on all that stuff, and especially today. With your 500 IDEX, do you like it? Oh, Rob, you're welcome, man. Just reach out. If you get stuck again, just reach out to Discord, or to me on Discord. I can send you some extra photos, or we can take a look at my positron if you need to. No, you're welcome, Zims. Thanks for hanging out and participating. But with that, guys, that is the end of the stream for this week. We'll be back next week on Sunday, 07:15. I already have primed the stream for next week, so I'll get that scheduled as soon as we end this one. I'll go live on that. So if you want to catch it on the next one, give me 5 or 10 minutes and you'll be able to opt into notifications to get notified when we go live next week. DaVinci 10, good to see you. Bye. But you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you next week on Sunday. Again, getting through belts off stream, and we'll get into installing the bed and running through some stuff there. So y'all have a good week. Enjoy the rest of your time. See y'all next week.